Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. I'm Kevin Sully. Starting solo. Hopefully that won't take too long. We're trying to get a connection with Lincoln Shrike, who was on the show yesterday doing the women's marathon live show. This is the men's marathon live show, and they are underway right now in Sapporo. Elliot Kipchoge, Galen Rupp, and a stellar field are beginning their Olympic journey. The last track and field event. The email address, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. If you're watching live on the YouTube channel, be sure to leave comments, and especially if we don't get Lincoln. Because if we don't get Lincoln, guys, I'm going to need you. I'm just basically going to be doing a Q&A and then talking about how much water Kipchoge is or is not drinking for the next, 2 hours and 5 minutes, 4 minutes. We'll see how quickly this thing goes. Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe it's going to be slow. The weather conditions I did see were overcast today. We had some reports from people on the ground there. David Monty says he's in the main stadium, and he was seeing wind in Sapporo was significant, and it was raining in Tokyo, not in Sapporo. Remember, two different places. They moved the location in order to get cooler temps, but anybody who's watching the women's race yesterday and saw the run on the ice buckets there knows that it was not cold at all, not pleasant marathon running conditions at all in Sapporo, but there is some overcast skies there in Sapporo. And if you're watching the actual live stream, you can see that it does look a bit cloudy, although it's hard to tell from this angle. If you want to sync up while you're watching, I'm at 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock here on the feed. I'm watching modest pace early on, as can be expected. Kipchoge in that distinctive honeycomb kit for Kenya, which they've worn all championships. I wanted a deep dive into the kit. It's one story I didn't get from the Olympics. I want to know why Kenya decided to go with the honeycomb style. It's something that's completely non-traditional. Never got that. Galen Rupp in the white there. And it looked like his jersey was completely soaked pre-race. I know we were speculating yesterday after seeing all the things that the athletes were doing. What would the men's marathon bring in terms of innovation, in terms of ice? Oh, and I'm pleased to be joined now by Taylor, Texas's own, the second most famous resident in the track and field world from Taylor, Texas, Lincoln Shrike. Lincoln, good afternoon. Good evening to you.
Hey, I appreciate the title. Sorry about the delay. A little bit of internet issues here in the abode, but we got it figured out. I'm for 3 men's marathon, which is quicker than I had yesterday. Access to the women's race, so I'm actually feeling pretty good about it so far, Kevin.
We already got one apology out of the way too, for those of you who are playing the official, unofficial Lincoln Shrike drinking game and want to play along there.
I'll try to keep those down a little bit today.
Well, if you cut out again, then we'll just we'll go to the YouTube chat here. Looking at the comments, like I said, feel free to comment in the chat as we go. Get to some questions if we can. Someone said that Rupp started with a bag of ice in his hand. Now, we saw yesterday Perez Jepchirchir, the winner, was stuffing the ice into her jersey throughout large portions of the race. And I'm not sure what the men will try because they have the benefit of going last. And you see there Rupp with the bag of ice in his hand to begin. And I don't know, Lincoln, what are your thoughts on what they probably learned from yesterday and what they're going to apply to today's race?
Well, as we know, if there's anybody that's going to innovate with advantages or innovate with, ways to keep cool, I think it's Galen Rupp. The carrying of the ice, though, is still surprising for me. I don't allow, or at least I don't think they allow, or anyone would want to race in an ice vest. Ultimately, it's going to get sweaty, so I can't why that you're not one to do that. But the ice, I just didn't really expect to see that. Even in conditions. I mean, it was not hot, but it was warm, right, in Rio, and I don't know if we saw anybody carrying ice. It's just it's funny. It's a new trend which we're used to embracing. Maybe new trends, but it's one that's awfully rudimentary and counterintuitive or counterproductive almost, just the fact that you have to carry it. I'm sure he's ditched it since then. I think just scanning around, it looks like he probably is not going to carry a bag of what would quickly become water in his hand the whole race. Perez Kipchoge, as I think you mentioned, she rocked hers in her in her kit for quite a while yesterday. So
what if everybody just has to bring one item with them from the start line to the finish line, and Rupp was conveniently assigned ice? That would have worked out really, really well for him. Of course, keeping our eye on Elliot Kipchoge of Kenya, pre-race favorite here, who coming off of a good race when he did that tune-up at the airport in the Netherlands, ran 2:04:30. And that came on the heels of his last loss when he got defeated in London. He had won the previous 10 marathons before that. Other Kenyans on the list: Chirono, Kiprutu. Ethiopia is running Lisa Desisa, Katada, and Sise Lem. At least that was the planned entrance. We'll actually see who ended up there. We obviously know Kipchoge is in the race, but there was some shifting of teams, I know, on the track at the last minute for Ethiopia, but we'll double check that as we go. Lincoln, what do you think of the non-Kipchoge, non-Rupp entrance in this race?
Good. I mean, this is a great championship runner. I know he won the last world title. He's medaled at world championships before that, and he's won Boston, I believe, on 2 occasions, and has been running well, at least in recent. He's got as good a shot of anybody. Obviously, the marathon can, wreak havoc on anybody at any given day. We finally saw that with Kipchoge back in last London race. So there are some guys in here that can certainly contend. I think even if we know that Kipchoge is the best to do it, the defending champion and a guy who won every race for so many years, I think, at a certain point we have to acknowledge, okay, maybe his age is going to catch up to him, and he's not quite the goal just 2 years ago at the 9. Now, maybe that's not the case, but I tend to think that he's definitely beatable than he has been in the last 5 years. So somebody like, was it Lema who won in London? I'm mixing up my Ethiopians, but who was the man who won in London?
Sure, Katada.
Or no, it was Katada. Okay. Katada, he would seem to have just as good of a shot as anyone. So, of Ethiopians for sure. I would keep an eye on them. And Chirono from Kenya is also a guy who's really thrived in both fast races and in winning Boston and out kicking Desisa a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Lincoln, we might need you to get another router and put it like one on each shoulder to improve the internet connection. Maybe instead of the bag of ice, you could just stuff some Ethernet cables into your shirt, because you're cutting out a bit on my end here. I don't know if people are having the same experience in the chat. Are you in the same spot as you were yesterday?
Sorry about that. We're doing our best. I actually flew just before this, so that was a gamble that didn't, I suppose.
Yesterday we couldn't get the live stream going, and then today you're struggling just with the basic internet. Maybe your kids are streaming all sorts of cartoons in the other room that it's slowing things down here.
I don't think so. Everyone knows I went to the one computer model yesterday. I was watching on one and talking with you on one, but I watched it on Twitter and I just looked weird, like turning my head to the side. So I'm just on one laptop, and I'm trying to be responsible with my internet usage here. But we are streaming a race in Japan and then doing this as well. It's a little bit hard for my Mac to apparently keep up. We are, or no, I guess it's not my Mac's problem. It's my internet. The internet should be a little bit better now, hopefully. So stick with me. I apologize.
All right. You pulled some tricks. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you looked back at yesterday's show and you didn't like the way you looked. So then you jeopardized your
Well,
connection so that way you could look better. That's interesting strategy here.
yeah, you know, I don't know, in one door out the other. That didn't make sense.
What?
I don't know. When one door closes, another
Oh,
opens.
opens. There you go. Yeah. That's what you're going for.
Yeah. I did the Gordon missed metaphor there. That was nice. Mix up the thing. I just thought one computer might be more economical. I didn't mess with the router or anything, although, you know,
Okay.
it's not unlike my 1-year-old daughter now to like get into where our stuff is and pull stuff out of the wall. So I'm not immune to stuff like that, but I think we should be okay for now.
It's gotten better. Whatever you did, it was
Okay.
a good move. And listen, you got a pretty low bar to clear. This morning, Gordon recorded from a McDonald's parking lot and then started his car
Oh.
during the outro because he started to get hot. He went 99.5% of the way of the episode, and then as soon as we're starting to wrap it up, I hear ding 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 ding. Just wait, man. What are we doing here?
Well, listen, he was a guy who had to be really frustrated that his Katie Najot and Johannes Vetter parlay didn't hit, because that one seemed such a lock. And for that one not to land had to be tough. Although he did get Ingebrigtsen winning gold. So where did Gordon stand as far as his bets heading into this marathon?
So basically, if Rupp medals, because he put money on Rupp medaling in this race, he ends up winning overall after his over 40 bets, $372.58.
Okay.
If Rupp loses, he'll lose.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if Rupp doesn't medal, Gordon will lose $277.42. So basically, there's a $500 swing here either way. But yeah, he's not going to be out of too much money. I told him, I told him to hedge last minute. So like put in a Kipchoge bet or something like that to just cover yourself. But he did not want to do that. He did not respond.
He's a guy of stiff integrity. So
I saw Jake Riley's already off the back here. And we're coming up on 5K. So we'll get a split at 5,000 meters. And that'll give us a little bit of indication of the pace. It doesn't look like they're plodding along. Again, obviously
Kipchoge picked up.
Kipchoge makes every pace look easy, but when we get this split, we'll have a better indication of how that time projects. But we had some separation already in the pack here. I'm getting a cool overhead shot where they're pointing at which person the Lisa DeCisa is with an arrow, but you're so high up in the sky, it's not really going to help you by the time you come back down with this drone shot.
Oh,
it's a cool shot. It's a cool shot, but it's like this one
behind you.
Oh, there's E Kipchoge. There they are. Okay.
No, they've got DeCisa up. Hey, I just know, when you've got graphics, you've got to use them. It doesn't matter if they're ill-timed. You just got to go with it.
Mm-hmm. So Suarez of Colombia up front there. Kipchoge almost looks like he's running with the formation of pacers in front of him, not competitors. That's what it looks like. It looks like guys are queuing up behind and in front of and behind Kipchoge. The last way he did that sub-2 where he had people in front of him and behind him because they figured out that, remember that was a big innovation between the first one and the second one was not don't just have him be at the back of the pack, but put people behind him as well too.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like there with that diamond formation.
A buffer zone, a buffer.
I mean, what do you think Kipchoge's mentality is going into this? He loses London and it breaks his streak of 10 sanctioned marathon wins in a row. And during that same record, he had obviously 2 phenomenal time trials. So he had basically 12 perfect marathons in a row, loses one, but then gets a win. What do you think his mindset is going into this race?
Well, I'm sure that his victory since then, as you mentioned at the airport, was pretty crucial for him.
Yes.
We obviously don't really No, as they clicked off 5K 15:17. So, not a complete jog, but also not exactly crushing it so
Yeah.
far. Only he knows where his training's at, along with his coach,
Mhm.
obviously, as far as relative to what the shape he would have been when he ran 159, when he ran 201. But I would say his mindset's pretty confident. If there's one athlete I think we can say is probably the strongest mentally in the sport of marathoning, it's pretty safe to say that Elliot Kipchoge is that guy. So I assume he is quite confident. Knowing that, he is the defending champion, knowing he's the greatest marathoner of all time. And, he's not just a time trial guy, obviously. He is a guy who 5 years ago completely controlled this race. And, the fact that it's not going to be incredibly fast, it doesn't lessen his chances. He's just as likely to win if it's fast or slow. So I think he's probably really confident.
Yeah, and he's run well in different conditions. The rain obviously was not good for him in London that one year,
Yeah.
but he also you mentioned he thrived in Rio, he's thrived in all these time trial type settings, which I know the conditions are perfect, but that's also a weird setup where the entire focus is on you, and he's managed to succeed in all of them. He ran a 204 with the insoles coming out of his shoes. It's not as if he's not used to a little unpredictability here. So that 5K split, I mean, it's just still, you can see a whole bunch of people still in there. Suarez is leading this race, and we saw Jake Riley drop off. I wonder if we can pull the results up again where Abdirahman of the U.S. is, because Rupp is obviously in that
He was
pack.
only 5 seconds back. 15:22.
Okay, so he's still
But
up there in the mix.
But Riley,
all right.
This can't be good news for Riley to already be 23 seconds back at 5K.
And maybe we don't know the conditions out. Well, I guess we do know the conditions because they just showed literally, as I said that, they just showed the temperature and the humidity on the screen. So shout out to them for doing that. But yeah, there's a clear group there, 30 or so that are away from everybody else. And you'd assume that's where the main action is going to derive from. But
Right.
It's still early. It's still early in this thing, obviously, but Kipchoge looks super, super comfortable. I wonder, again, because as I mentioned before, I just wonder how much they looked at the women's race and saw how that race unfolded and applied it to what they're doing today. Conditions are not exactly the same as they were for the women, but I guess you could watch that and kind of get a feel of what's going to work and what you probably should avoid.
Yeah. I mean, nobody did. There was nothing yesterday there was nobody going for broke that completely died. We saw Salpeter not die. I'm sorry, that's a little bit of a harsh word, but fall back and completely implode after being in the front group. But nobody. I don't think in any Olympic marathon you're going to have anybody, just go from the gun necessarily. We do have this Suarez up here, athlete who's probably running a little bit outside of his abilities right now, but you get that in every championship race. So nothing is going to be too surprising if he is up here for a bit up until 15K and then we don't hear from him again. But I don't know if there was much to learn from yesterday's race other than make sure to get your water, because I think if they're watching closely, you saw everybody taking water, ice. So, and that can be a little tough. They showed that aid station from just a moment ago on the stream, and there's so many bodies in there. It can be tough to, you just don't want to miss your liquids, even at this early point. So, you don't want to take anything for granted, and you got to get in position to get your water when it's available.
And there's this group, and there's a pretty sizable gap, and then a couple stragglers, and then another huge gap. So they've made their way away from the pretenders here. It's interesting, right? It's not like there's just a group and then another huge group. They've gone fast enough to put themselves away. You can see it when they have the overhead shot, just how big that gap is between them and everybody else. But so far, it looks like everybody's in there. We had some DNFs yesterday from the from the big names on the women's side of things. And I mean, if we have that similar thing happen here on the men's side, if you go through PRs and you look, okay, who should factor in, once you get about 8 or 9 deep, then you get to some really unpredictable people. Then you get to this Olympic tradition where you have someone come out of nowhere and get a medal, or someone come out of nowhere and potentially contend for gold, because you got 3 Kenyans, 3 Ethiopians. You have obviously Rupp, who's run 206. You have someone like Ozbilin from Turkey who's run 204, Abdi from Belgium who's run 204, Rusam from Eritrea who's run 205. But once you get past that tier, and I know that I just listed a good amount of names, Suguru Osako, obviously proven runner. If there's just a couple DNFs and a couple bad days in there, then things really start opening up, because it's just much different than a major marathon. Okay, so we're seeing our first, what I'll call a Jepchirchir from the front of the pack, where someone they grabbed like the whole ice tray, basically. I think they ordered like a 10-gallon bag of ice and just put the entire thing in their shirt. They're going to run out of ice. Does everybody get their own personal bag of ice now? Like, you get your own bottle, and then all of a sudden, now you get your own bag of ice?
That's a good question. I don't know if he was trying to chuck it and didn't have room. It looked like Kipchoge maybe shared his either water bottle or ice with somebody next to him that wasn't a Kenyan.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be wrong there, but it looked like he was sharing the love a little bit, which I guess is cool to see.
7K. So we'll get our next split. We really only get splits every 5K. So we'll have to wait another 3K to check in on pace. But you can just tell from the size of this group that it's under control. And yeah, there's a lot of sharing of water going on. There's a lot of people they're embracing the spirit of Italy and Qatar with the high jump tie. Like, they're just
I was going to say that.
Did you see today after the 1500 when Chariot gave his bracelet to Ingebrigtsen?
Yeah.
There's a good tweet out there. Yeah. It's so it's all love is in the air basically on the last day of the Olympics. Chariot said he decided on the way to the meet that if he got beat, he would give it to somebody, whoever beat him. Which I would like that's a good move, very nice of him. But I would have been like, hey, he should have said, I'm going to beat everybody, and whoever I beat the worst, that's who gets my bracelet. Just to remind him of how badly I beat them. He should have done that in Doha. But he's great sport. Gives it to Jakob Ingebrigtsen. What we don't know, because it mentions this Chariot has won 12 of the 13. Etched on the inside of that bracelet, it says 1 for 12. 1 in 12, basically. In it. Just
you
kidding.
Think he knew
Great
ahead
race.
of time what was going to happen?
Yeah. He had someone just update it instantly. What was your thoughts on the 1500?
Oh, it was great. It was a great race, and I just drew back to with Ingebrigtsen. He had a good meet in Doha, but obviously he missed out on the medals in the 5K and the 1500. He called himself in the mix zone the biggest loser, and he chooses one event, which I think for many people was conservative. In our eyes, that Ingebrigtsen just picked one, but obviously that worked out for him. You kind of knew that he was going to eventually do something big. I say eventually. I mean, he, despite the fact that he's 20, he's a veteran of the championship stage. And with Ingebrigtsen, with Chariot being slightly, it seems like slightly more beatable this year, or maybe just Ingebrigtsen's taken that leap. I guess you could say that he did run 3:28 today. It's almost if the baton has been passed. I mean, you can pretty close to say Jakob Ingebrigtsen's the best 1500 meter runner in the world. Obviously, he just won the world title, the Olympic title. But now when you run 3:28 in the Olympic final, man, it makes that 3:26 flat look awfully tantalizing. As they say, and the cliche of cliches, the world is his oyster. He's only 20, and this guy may dominate this event for years to come.
There was just an interesting interaction at the water station. The Brazilian athlete tried to give a water bottle to Duchessa of Bahrain, but I don't think Duchessa saw it. So he went across him and grabbed his own water. They had it in slow-mo, and very rarely is the marathon slow-mo that interesting, other than to see basically the faces. But at the water station, they're treating it like it's a steeple, and someone's going to fall at any moment. It's not that interesting.
Not be good.
Yeah.
They're tightly packed, though, and I don't know. No one looks like obviously it's the heat, but no one looks incredibly comfortable to me. I mean, I know they're not like rolling here, and maybe it's just the fact that it's really bright out. You know, Kipchoge doesn't have sunglasses. A lot of guys, honestly, with how sunny it is, there's not as many pairs of shades out there as I would expect. But I don't know if it's just that or what it is, but if it's the heat. But nobody looks entirely comfortable out there. So that being said, with that many packed bodies, you got to be careful. You could have a spill.
Mm-hmm. So I'm at 26:15 on my stream. I think you're a couple seconds behind me, Lincoln. We're about in the same range, right?
I believe so. I'm at commercial right now. I just got a Abdi montage, and now we are selling some type of vehicle or something. So yeah, we're in similar places, but yeah, you're right. I think I'm a little bit behind, and I'm in commercial.
Mm-hmm.
What do you go ahead.
No, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, big victory for white hats, as always is in hot marathons. You get the white hats out there quite a bit. Rupp's got his like slightly tilted to the side. You know, I don't know if that's a fashion choice or if a practical choice. I'm sure it's a practical choice, but it's not necessarily like a cool push to the side, you know. It's more of like how a dad wears like a hat that's ill-fitting. So you know, maybe Galen Rupp embracing the fact that he's 35 now, you know, just like not as worried about his style, more worried about practicality.
Yeah.
Just to
also Rupp in this pack looks to be about 6'4", 205.
Right.
Just running with that group. Okay, we have Katata's out. So this is exactly what I was talking about, what could happen. So Shura Katata, London Marathon champion, is holding his right hamstring. So he is out. So DeCisa's now at the front of the pack. I say that as my feed is now breaking up. Oh, we're going to the drone cam now, or overhead cam. I think all of Kenya's team is still intact, but that's the biggest news so far of this race.
That's huge, right? And
that's huge.
Ethiopia has, you know, they've brought some big names in recent years, and I know they got a silver in 2016, but yeah, that's some tough luck for a guy who, you know, on paper had as good of chances as he did. And I know they had a trials race, so it's not like they just, you know, picked. This wasn't just a random, you know, political decision, if you will. They had a trials race, and maybe he just picked up the injury today. But yeah, that's tough to be doing that to be dropping out before 10K of the Olympic marathon. We always see this, though, right? Like Ethiopia will. Now we don't always see this. Obviously, DeCisa won the world title in 2019, but it doesn't seem like Ethiopia ever puts together like 1 through 3 like a good championship race. I mean, I'm sure that's wrong, but they always have issues with at least one athlete in a championship race.
So with Shura Katata, though, you had a guy who's just consistent. Like, he was a perennial top 3 guy in the majors. This wasn't a guy who popped the fast time last year and they said, "Oh, let's put him on the team.
No.
Let's let him roll out there." No, this was a guy who was a safe bet. Now, the good news is the rest of their team, same thing. DeCisa, you know, like you mentioned, 2019 champ, but he's won Boston and New York, and Sisse Lema has been solid. He's a veteran as well too. As for their record in you know, big time marathons, like championship style marathons, yeah, there are a bunch of DNFs. But then I go back to 2016. Kenya had 2 DNFs there. We remember Kipchoge winning, but we don't really remember. We don't remember Stanley Biwott and
that's right.
I'm blanking on Wesley Career.
Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley Career DNFing. I guess you go back to, was it 2012 when, 2012, all three Ethiopians dropped out. So dropouts are not
Oh,
uncommon, to
okay.
your point, amongst the two favorite nations. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking here at Abdi, who's at the back of that pack, that a very distinctive running style there of Abdi Abdurrahman. So we're at
Oh yeah.
10K. All right, here we go. So we got 10K splits. Kipchoge,
Ooh, they
Suarez,
slowed down.
El Arabi. Yep. Uh, Petros, Tadessa Abraham, who's run some fast times. Jordan O, the Chasa of Bahrain. Chirono's in there. Kiprutu's on there. DeCisa's in there. Let's just double check, make sure we have Sisse Lema in there as well, too, of Ethiopia. You see Galen Rupp there in the pack. Is Sisse Lema in there? There he is in 26th in that same group. And then one behind him, Rusam. Keep an eye on him. I mentioned his name before, from Eritrea. And then is Bashir Abdi. There he is, 32nd. All right. So how big is this group? Let's keep going down to see where it actually breaks, because I am terrible at judging about how big groups are. Okay, there it is. Right near
Well,
Abdi.
40.
40.
Yeah. Like 4 through 47 is within 3 seconds.
Yeah. So about
But
40 to 45.
that doesn't seem that pack looks smaller on the screen than it actually is. It's just so dense. But
Mhm.
it's just a little deceiving. But yeah, that's crazy that it's that close.
Mhm.
And Riley is in 52nd. He's 29 seconds back. I don't think we're getting a medal out of him, but he was 23 seconds back at 5,000
Yeah.
at 5K. So to only lose 6 seconds over the next 5K, he's not completely falling apart. So that's good.
Well, we don't
And
know
yeah, go
what
ahead.
type of we don't know what type of
Race
race
he's
this
looking
is
to run.
gonna or what it's gonna
Yeah.
develop into. I mean, we've already had, as you mentioned, Katada get out. Steven Kiprotich, he was off the back and walking. He's the 2012 Olympic champion. So there's at least two people who have had major performances that we know are already out of this thing. So we just don't know. We don't know what type of race it's going to develop into. But there's still
Yeah.
40 people, 40 people involved.
Ooh.
You're right. I'm so bad at judging how many people are in packs. Like, I'm good on the track when I can just really count. So I can tell the difference between 6 people in a group and 3 people in a group. But when it's a bunch of marathoners, it's tough to figure out.
Yeah, they're doing the slow-mo of absolutely. They're doing the slow-mo of some ice pack chucking, some sharing of the ice with Chirono and Kipruto. This is those guys cutting up the guys and women cutting up the slow-mo footage are just having a blast. Like, what do you got for us? Well, I got some people sweating up front, and let's do a replay of that.
Yeah.
They got the features, so you got to use them. A guy we haven't spoken about, Kevin, as I go to commercial, Cam Levin's up in that top 50 group.
Yeah, Cam Levins, the Canadian, made the team. Had a big race leading into these Olympics. So, yeah, who knows? People are dropping. People are dropping at this point. So, anybody who watched the women's race, Molly Seidel wasn't a favorite to get a medal going in, and pulls it out. You mentioned the ice. I think a cool feature of this race, at mile 20, there's just a snow cone machine, which is going to be fun for all the athletes. They get their own. They're not going to put any flavors in them, but they'll get the shaved ice. There's going to be actually guys shaving ice, and then they're just going to dump it in their jersey. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What was the name of the guy in Berlin who was given water to Kipchoge? Is it Hans or Lars
Klaus.
or something?
Klaus.
Sorry, mix up my names there. Maybe he's there divvying out snow cones.
Just handing them out.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Cam Levins, I just saw again, as you mentioned in that pack. 14:52. Looks like they did a slow-mo of Bekele, not Kenenisa Bekele, another Bekele. Looked like he was dropping off the pace and was stopped at that point. Yeah, looks like he keeps going and stopping and going. I don't have the audio going. This is Alemu Bekele of Bahrain. He keeps stopping because he has appears to be cramps, and then he touches his toes, and then he keeps going, which is just it's just a nightmare scenario. If you're a marathoner, you prep for that day, and then your body's just not cooperating.
Has that ever worked? Has stretching out a cramp, like, and then being able to recover and get back in the race, has that ever worked? I mean, I'm sure it has, but it doesn't seem like it's ever an effective method in the moment.
I mean, it works for me and you if we're running 3-4 hour marathons. When Kipchoge is the tip of the spear in a marathon,
Yeah.
and you stop to stretch out a cramp, it's get on the bus. It's over. It's done. I mean, credit to him if he's able to finish the race, and I would tip my cap to him if he's able to do it. But it's just the same way where you fall down in a 1500, you get up and finish if you want, and it's good to finish because you could maybe get it on protest, but they're going so fast you can't make it. Can't make up that gap.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, let's see. What was I gonna say?
Well,
here?
there's a tweet here on the screen here from Hansen's Run. Whether you support Galen Rupp or not, you must admit that he totally understands how to race the marathon. I agree with that part. I believe the goal is to not be seen for the first 20 miles. Galen does this masterfully. Well, not entirely, because we've definitely seen him a couple times. Partially because
you don't mention
6'4".
Yeah. Well, you look for him as an American, right? You're like, okay, where is Galen Rupp? But yeah, he does. Yeah. You know, if you're Galen Rupp, you don't obviously want to be in the lead this early, right? With how with how tall he is, you want to try to be tucked as well as tall relative to the rest of the field. You want to be tucked as well as you can. But yeah, he's a smart marathon runner. Got to believe he honed his tactics on the track over years and years and years of racing at the championship level there. And yeah, he's a good athlete.
You got a guy in the mid pack with a thing of ice balancing on his head, which reminds me of that commercial with, I believe, Katie Ledecky, where she put the glass of milk on top of her head and swam across the pool. That's a bit harder.
Yeah, I'm sure that was real.
This.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed this is possible, Lincoln, but it's happening. An Olympic marathon with a guy balancing an ice bag on top of his head. We're seeing.
Well, we saw that yesterday, right? Wasn't that happening yesterday with a Bahraini athlete in the women's race?
But I thought she was just holding it up there. This guy's just chilling mid pack with it up there. I'm just surprised. I mean, just to see it happen is just. It's just incredible that this is. Do you think they planned that? They practice marathoners, famously. You have to prepare for every sort of different scenario. Do you think they thought
ice bag balancing? Yeah.
Yeah. Because it'd be annoying if it slid off your head.
It may just be that warm to where they're just, the bags are melting. Yeah, we have a photo yesterday from Chumba running that we can put up on the screen there that, that's a, if someone asks, how did your marathon go? You could just send them that photo and so
I don't know.
I just saw on my screen, Galen Rupp looked like he removed his hat for a second there. I don't know if he was dousing himself with water or ice, but credit to the Hansons, Kevin Hansons, for talking about Rupp's ability to hang out. But yeah, you're right. We do see him, perhaps because he's all dressed in the all white. And again, he is taller than much of the field, like you mentioned, Kevin. But now I can't take my eyes off him now that I'm supposed to not be able to see him. So I think Can Levins has been a little bit more incognito than Rupp in this race thus far.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think you're right. It's just because you're looking for him, then you're going to notice him in the pack. It is funny with the marathon. You just find any little thing to talk about. Oh, he took his hat off. All right. That's a discussion point for the next half mile. Oh, he put his hat back on.
It's difficult.
Now I'm looking for Levins.
It's difficult. He's in the top left of screen.
Yep. Yeah. I could see him. He's more towards the back there. I wonder is there any separation between
we'll have to get an
all
aerial.
Those runners. Yeah, we got to get this is when we want to go aerial. Well, we're doing here still on the feed I'm watching. We're doing the whole check in with runners way far behind, but shoot them from like behind them, and so you don't even see their face, and they're not in the main pack. It's just a treat. Yeah. And we did that with the women's race yesterday, and they kept doing that late in the race. I mean, there should be a Kipchoge cam, correct? At this point, he's earned his own camera. And you can put it at the bottom.
Yeah, You think that it's like the Tiger Woods thing, you can always, even if he's not in contention at a golf tournament, they're always going to be covering him pretty steadily. They may not be the focus if he's not in the top group or anything like that, or has a chance to win, but you're always going to be able to see what Tiger's doing. And I guess the same is true for Kipchoge. There should be that. And it is a little bit easier when he's right up front where he belongs. So
Yeah. Saw some contact there. That slow motion replay was good. The athlete from China was upset about something. Got a little too close. Oh, we got some
and it
virtual
does look
cheering.
to be picking up, maybe. Oh,
Some virtual cheering. You seeing the boards on the side? I don't know if you're seeing that same thing I am at 13.2 kilometers, but they had some video monitors.
Oh, there we are.
Yelling.
Yeah. That looks exciting.
Yeah.
How much money went into that? And is that having any effect?
A lot.
Is the athlete going to be like, man, I really got encouraged by those virtual fans. Rupp just dropped his hat. Rupp has ditched the hat. Update. Breaking news.
Well, I think he's filling it with water. Or he dropped it entirely?
No, I think so. I could be. We'll see.
Do you think he should have asked the rest of the pack if they were interested in the hat before he did that?
I mean, yeah, reuse and recycle, Galen. I mean, come on. Like, somebody could have wanted it. Can you share equipment? I don't think, like, I know you can share water, but can you share, like, a hat? Uh-oh, somebody else has dropped off. Who's that?
Yeah, it's from...
I don't think anyone.
Oh, from Korea. Yeah, he's walking. But they do these cutback shots of anybody who drops out, and now he's going again. I wanted to try to get with that aerial shot an idea of the pack. We'll get it in the next mile when we get to the 15K spot. 15K split, excuse me. Oh, there's the push. Yeah. Look at that. There's full contact there. I don't know if they showed that already.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got something else queued up here. Rupp's
the hat. There it is. If you're watching, you can see.
Oh, wait, but he's got it back.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I wonder if he picked up. Oh, he got a new hat. I bet he got a new hat. Is that right? Or was it an optical illusion?
Enhance, zoom in. Let's figure this out.
Can you get new hats? Is that a thing, or it may have been an optical illusion?
Okay, well, look at the way his hat is on his head. It's way high, so he's got something underneath. Travis is saying it's a new hat. So where did the new hat come from? Is there a hat table too?
It's a mystery. Yeah, and that's what I was saying with the, of course, now I cut to commercial. That's what I was saying with the way he's wearing it, is like he's wearing it high, which is that like a style choice, or is it a practical, like, does he have an ice pack underneath?
He's holding,
like,
So right now I see him holding a bag, but he might have put ice on, like, in his cap and then thrown it up over his head. I think that here, I'll do the motion for you. This is what I think he's doing. He's grabbing the ice bag, got the hat in the other hand, throwing it in to the hat, and then putting the hat on like that. I think that's what he's doing.
Okay.
But I don't know. The whole new hat thing is a plot twist here. Oh, it says Rupp's coaches. People are saying his coach gave it to him, but I don't.
Mike Smith?
Interesting.
Mike Smith's out there doling out hats? Or different coach?
It's just throwing hats out everywhere. Is everybody getting new hats? I mean, if we stayed with the front pack a little longer, these are the things I could figure out. But yeah, Rupp is definitely, the hat is high. You can see the athlete behind him too. A lot of these people have their hats that are askance. That's not a style choice. That's because there's all sorts of... It's not a
Pedro Strop.
It is, shout out to the Cubs. It is not a Pedro Strop situation. It's because there's a bunch of stuff jammed underneath their hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ice in the hat. Yeah. You think, we need a cooling hat. Ice in the hat. Okay, so here's I'm getting a replay here.
Okay.
I'm getting a replay here. DeCisa grabs a bottle. Okay, and then this guy drinks out of the bottle. Okay, you gonna show us anything interesting? He's just drinking. Come on. I want to see a hat transfer. I want to see the full 1 minute or 2 minute process of getting ice in the hat. I see Kipchoge drinking. I know that's how a human being drinks when they run. All right, I didn't get anything. Did you get anything on yours? No?
Are you talking to me? No, because I'm
Yeah, I'm
watching a
talking to you.
Geico commercial. I was watching a Geico commercial. So okay, now I'm back on the feed, but sorry.
I feel like if we were watching the main feed, there would be a feature on the ice. Like it'd be like, let's cut to so and so in the studio. Like Mike Tirico is going to show you how to put ice in a hat. Mary Carrillo is going to demonstrate how to get ice in a hat, the marathon, but nada.
I don't think it's anything more than just tossing a bag in the hat. I mean, I could be wrong there.
I still want to see it.
It's just because you do want to see it, and I get that. I'm just saying I don't know how practical, an ice hat would be in the sense like one where it's already built in because you're just going to sweat through it. But I guess if you get a refreshed one each time, but I didn't know that was. I just didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could. Obviously you can get different water bottles. So what's the difference? But I didn't know you could get like different clothing essentially to wear.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard or seen that in a marathon.
You know who doesn't have an ice hat? Elliot Kipchoge. He doesn't have a hat at all. He's just
I know.
Full on running his best race out there. Interesting.
Well,
splits should be coming up. I think we passed 15K.
Yeah, we did.
So Nascimento
they've picked it
Brazil.
up, Kevin. They've picked it up.
46:03 through 15K. All right, let's see how many are in this group. If we can scroll down, and then we'll call roll after that, and we'll see who's still in this group. So there's at least 21. Now we're up to 30. Cam Levins is in 25th. A little bit of a drop after 32. So the gap it's definitely smaller. Abdi there, only 14 seconds back in 45th. Jake Riley in 49th. He's only 40 seconds back.
Well,
maybe he played his cards right here.
That's what it's been so long ago, obviously, when I saw Jake Riley falling back early, basically ahead of 5K, I thought, uh-oh. But then I remembered, if you think back to the trials, he didn't fall back this much, but he came on late. That was his strategy. So it may just be his game here in the marathon. Again, doesn't probably, give him a good shot to medal, but maybe to have his best race. Coming from behind, being conservative early, especially in these tough conditions, is a good thing for him.
I think we're heading to getting to halfway and this group being cut about in half. What do you think?
It should. I said they picked it up. I mean, they picked it up marginally. That second 5K was really slow, and then they've gone back to kind of that initial pace of the first 5K where they were running like in the 15 teens, I believe. So. You would think that will come, but I don't know who's going to take it. It's kind of like, it reminds me in Rio, right? There was it was later in the race, but I can't remember who it was, but somebody tried to pick it up and go past, and Kipchoge literally told him, not yet. So
yes.
I think with Kipchoge there, nobody is going to be like, I think I'm going to go for it right now. One that hardly ever works in the marathon, but especially against the greatest of all time, they've got some guys in front of him helping him do some of the work, but I don't think they're trying to run away from him or anything. And if they are, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah, and there's enough people left in this pack to where you're not getting any designs yet on, hey, I'm a medalist. Let's make my big move here. There's still a lot of guys there. And Kipchoge looks very comfortable, but so do a lot of people. Lemma is kind of hanging out there to the outside, and DeCisa doesn't look too great, but it's just kind of the way he runs as well.
Yeah, DeCisa never looks good. But he is a little bit, that said, he is I would say he would like to be a little bit further up. So it won't surprise me either way if he's really not feeling good and is falling back, or if I guess this is a strategic decision. It's not like a break's been made and he's getting left behind. I guess it's just a little bit surprising to see him kind of behind Rupp and behind Lemma.
Rupp seems to be doing the same thing he did when he was chasing Farah around the track all those years with Kipchoge.
Just sit right on him.
Shadow.
Never lose sight of him.
Shadow. You go right, I go right. You go left, I go left. You slow down, I slow down. You speed up, I speed up. Because Kipchoge is first now into this water station. And maybe that's just he wanted to position
Well,
himself for the bottle to make sure
now
he's
it's
all
Rupp.
good. And then Rupp went right there. Okay, Rupp took off the hat here. Let's stay on this as if I'm producing this live show here. Okay, yeah, grab another hat.
Wow.
Just like that. Just like that. Do you see it? Did you
No,
see
I
it?
haven't seen it yet. So either oh yeah, he's dropping that hat, tossing it to the side, and I'll take a new one with Okay, so his water bottle dealer or whatever you want to say is getting him new hats. Okay, cool. Didn't know you could do it. Is anyone else doing that? Is anybody else getting new hats?
So it'll be interesting afterwards to judge the difference between the hat crew and the non-hat crew to see who had more success out here. We'll check it the next one.
There's an athlete, and I'm trying to get it. It's a Moroccan athlete. I can't see his bib, but his hat is so, as you said, askance that it almost looks like it's been like photoshopped onto his head.
Yeah,
it's just like so he must have like an ice pack or something. So I mentioned earlier that I thought Rupp was just wearing his hat like a goofball, but I think it is a strategic cooling decision for many athletes.
But this one didn't have any ice in it when he grabbed. So the guy handed him the bottle and the hat at the same time. So the hat was it was all folded together. So the hat was wet. He put on the hat. Now we'll see if he adds ice to it. Hat Watch 2021.
It's convenient for. Oh, God, sorry, I'm not.
Well, no,
I was just going to say
I'm a little bit behind you, but yeah, he took it off and is now doing something to the hat. But then they cut back. So
yeah, I was just going to say it's convenient for Rupp that they have the water stations in alphabetical order by country, because it looks like USA is the last one. It's a lot easier to find your water station, I think, if you're at one of the ends as opposed to like being in the middle. Like I don't know. I was Great Britain might be having a little bit of trouble because you got to find yours in the sea of countries. But if you're in the US, yours is right at the end. That's convenient.
Yeah. No, and that's the main source of anxiety early on, especially when it goes slow. So, all right, let's reset it here. I'm at 17.2 kilometers, 53:10 on the clock. Suarez, Kipchoge, Chirono, Nascimento, Rupp is up there as well. Things tend to be clicking along here. We'll get that next split at 20K, and then we'll be right near the half marathon mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching a Modelo beer commercial right now. We've had quite a few commercials. It feels like more commercials than the women's race, and maybe it's just that I'm, they get all the commercials out in the first half. Hopefully that's the case, but they are breaking every 5 minutes. I'm really watching, so that's cool. Yeah, we're paying for this experience here. So, anyways, I'm just trying to keep it happy.
Looks like Levens is off the main group now. Yeah, that's him, 14:32 on his bib. Kenya positioned themselves right up near the front. All three of them looked real good. Trying to get a perspective on Lemma, and there's someone with a dinosaur costume and a French flag on the side, which is what you love to see in these races. I see DeCisa back there, trying to keep my eye out for Lemma, but still a big group with a lot of people that will fade once Kipchoge decides to make a move, or whoever makes a move, whoever blinks first here. But I think you're right. I think everybody wants to defer, because the really good people are going to defer because they know he's the guy to beat. And the people who are punching above their weight right now want to defer because if they do that, he can crush them with a single stride. So I think that's what's going on here with this group. This is a good tweet.
That is a good one. We got get.
But he's got a new hat. I was trying to think of some hat content, but couldn't come up
There's got to be some
anything.
jokes, right? There's got to be. I mean, that's a good one. A Simpsons meme is always, or GIF is always a welcome addition to the. We got to be on hat count. Are we on hat 3? We need a ticker on the side. Are we on hat 3 or 4? Because we're at
Yeah.
least on 3.
Okay, the Brazilian guy just gave Kipchoge a fist bump, and they became best friends at the front of this race. So I don't know if you're still in commercial, but that was amazing.
No, I'm not.
Now
I'm
he's
back. I'm back.
okay. Around 55-40, like they're all having a great time. Now the Colombian athletes laughing with him. This is amazing. And Kipchoge just seems like he's strolling out here. He's making all new sorts of friends. He's probably asking favorite spots to eat after the race. Great fist bump too while you're moving that fast. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Hopefully it didn't anger him. You wouldn't want to anger Kipchoge. It also seems impossible to anger
Yeah, I don't know
Kipchoge.
how you would do that.
Yeah.
Especially during a marathon. I mean, they were doing slow-mo highlights during the 55-40 time period. I'm on 56 minutes now. So I missed the fist bump, which I'm bummed about. Yeah, I'm bummed about that.
That's something you want to get a slow-mo of. That would have been awesome to have a slow-mo.
No, they were doing
that.
They were doing slow-mos of everybody getting their, ice packs, Rupp getting a new hat, which, that's old news. We could have got to that several minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then people sharing water. So, oh well, that's lost to history for me over here on the USA Network. Which coming up later tonight, we will have new episodes of, I don't know,
Mr. Robot.
What's a USA? I don't know. Yeah, Mr. There you go. Pretty good show. So I'm seeing them get some, not an aid station, not a country specific station, but getting some more water.
Replay. Oh, he missed it. He missed the bump. Oh, he missed the bump at first. I'm getting the slow-mo here, so you might get this. Kipchoge just did a thumbs up because he thought that's what they were doing. But Nascimento kept it out. He really ran the risk there because that's awkward. Anybody who's fumbled a fist bump or any sort of handshake knows the longer you wait, the more risk you put yourself to embarrassment. Now, you might also eventually get that fist bump, and then all is well in the world. But he left it out there for a while, and I think it caught the corner of Kipchoge's eyes, and then he gave him some dap there. So I'm glad that went over well.
Okay. Well, yeah, you always got meme potential too if you get an unrequited fist bump.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. It does look like Galen Rupp has a baggie under his hat right now. So and they're showing Cam Levins, at least on my feed. He has gained a hat since we last saw him. So his hat is red. So he's bucking the white hat trend. Yeah. But he was running Sans hat when last saw him, and now he's gained a hat. So the plus minus for hats right now is all over the place.
Well, and here's the thing: they cut away so much. It's like Inception. You don't know which hat you're on and which level of ice pack you're on.
100%.
It's very, very difficult to follow here because you're jumping back and forth and back and forth. We're at 19K right now, so we'll get another split here, and we'll have a good idea of the pace and how many people are left in that group. Travis is telling me that Do Nascimento just swished his ice bag into a trash can from the opposite side of the road. So he's just...
You mean a dust box?
So he pulled a... He went from long range. He made it into the trash. And is that why he dapped him up? Did Kipchoge say, hey, that was an impressive shot? Are those things related, or did one happen?
Yeah, this is where you really need somebody on the ground, Kevin. You need somebody in the lead cart. You actually get 2 seconds off your time for every ice bag shot into a every ice bag shot into a thing. I see a tweet we're pulling up here from 5 years ago. I don't know if it's up on the screen yet. There it is. Apparently in 2016, Rupp was switching hats as well. So this is not anything new.
You should have known that. You were really paying attention in 2016 to the marathon. You don't remember the hat story?
I just wasn't paying attention enough to. I was certainly watching the race, but I think I tuned in late. Even as much of a running fan as I am, If I don't have to tune in till the last 10 miles, I typically won't, because it can be a
So
little slow. So I would have missed some of this, but yeah. But Kipchoge, I mean, now that we know people are gaining hats, such as Cam Levins, Kipchoge may go this whole race without a hat, but in 2016 he had a hat on at one point. We'll see. We'll see what the decision was, because hats have been a big story of this race so far. Oh, here we go. I'm getting the thumbs up. I got a smile from Kipchoge. Okay. I think,
you saw
Kevin,
it?
I do have to wonder if the shooting of the ice bag was related to that, like you mentioned, like you hypothesized, because Kipchoge was laughing.
Yeah. He shot it from across the way, and he yelled what everybody yells when they swish something from deep into a trash can. He probably yelled Kobe. This is what you do. Honor the late great Kobe Bryant. Yeah. And then Kipchoge was like, wow, that was amazing. Gives him the thumbs up, but then he went in for the full fist bump. Because then the other guy up front is laughing about it too.
Okay.
So one more thing on jerseys and uniforms while we're at it. That picture of Rupp from Rio made me remember that he Swiss cheesed his singlet that year, and he did that at trials, and he did it in Rio, and he's not Swiss cheesing his singlet here. Rupp's even smiling in the picture. How great is that picture, by the way?
What's that
classic
thing?
Put it. What's the meme thing? Put it in the Louvre.
Oh yeah.
You're an
That's
art
pretty
guy,
good.
Lincoln.
Yeah, I mean, you would need somebody else with like a different expression to really like throw some confusion into it and get some mystery to it. But I enjoy it. I mean, there's not a whole lot better than
Rupp in the
Elliot
back
Kipchoge
with a
smiling.
bag
So.
coming, but there's a bag coming out of the back of Rupp's hat too, and he's sort of smirking. There's a lot here.
Yeah,
There's a lot you can
there
learn
is.
about the world in this race based on that picture. Okay, so we have splits now for 20K. I believe we
We
should.
do.
So let's scroll through these guys. What's that meme? Put it in the Louvre. Yes, good. All right, Travis is taking what I'm saying, and so go to FloTrack right now if you are, and retweet or like that tweet just so I know that you're listening. Really made myself sound old. Isn't that what they say? Put it in the Louvre, or this is a Renaissance. I see this is a Renaissance painting. I guess you could say,
the Damian Lillard, the Damian Lillard shot. That was a put it in the Louvre, or this is a Renaissance painting. Okay, so what is it? Is it Do? I've never heard of the Brazilian Do Nascimento. He has gained a hat. So we have another gentleman in the hat edition club. Will everyone be wearing hats by the end? That's what somebody's got a visor.
Well, some people are going to be wearing silly hats. Somebody's going to get those hats from Dumb and Dumber that they bought at the store. Just
like a top hat.
If Kipchoge breaks this thing open, he needs to just do comical hats. Like he gets Ryan Krauser's cowboy hat for a mile, switches it out. Yes, top hat, monocle. Just try the whole plethora of hats becomes like he goes Peaky Blinders on him. He just does the entire suite of hats.
Yeah. I thought Kipchoge had a hat, but it looks like it was maybe a washcloth. And in more important news, DeCisa back up towards the front now. So DeCisa apparently wasn't feeling bad, or if he was feeling bad, he's not anymore. So that feels like a crucial development.
Okay. There we go. I'm looking. So Travis is going to put up the results again. Talk us through who's in, who's out, how many people are in that group.
Well, we have let's see. So basically the top group is 33 strong within 3 seconds. And then to the next place, it cuts back to 14 seconds. And Cam Levins is like the cutoff of the final like guy you could reasonably say has contact with the top group. So 33 basically. And now I see Jake Riley is past Abdi. So that has occurred.
On the
Jake
move.
Riley doing his he's doing his kind of come from behind. So they did hit halfway, and South Africa's Stephen Makoka 65-13 with Kipchoge 2 seconds back. So is Makoka making a move here?
Let's see. Yeah, this is the first somewhat sign of. He's looking around a lot though. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a full committal. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I'm going for it. Halfway splits 105.13 for Makoka.
Yeah, you're right. He is looking around quite a bit. Now, what has Makoka done? Because I know his name. I mean, obviously he's not like a superstar or anything, but South Africans, other than the 1996 Olympics, not exactly known for their marathoning, but I have heard of Makoka. Maybe it's just because he used to be a track runner. I guess I thought maybe he had done something more significant. But I guess not.
I'm putting up his profile right now.
He's
So
got a
Daniel
207
Doe.
best, but I thought yeah, go ahead.
Well, I also was looking in on Daniel Do Nascimento, and he's run 209. But they've updated his profile already, and his best achievement, it says, is once fist bumped Elliot Kipchoge in a race, which those people they update
true.
pretty quickly.
That's good. Good thinking on their part.
Stephen Makoka, his PB is 207.40. He was 5th at the 2019 World Championships. That's where you remember him from. In Doha.
That's what it was, because I was literally there.
He was 7th at World Half in 2020, 8th at World Half in 2012, 8th at World Half in 2009. So he's a veteran, 36 years old, and is good in championship races. So keep an eye. Like 210 is his wheelhouse here.
Halfway, baby. See there, I bet they end up running 208, 209, but still yet it's nothing he shouldn't be able to handle. Okay, now there's a break, and looks like Levins has been dropped here. And it looks like that's Seguro Hisako. I don't know if it's no, that's not Hisako, I'm sorry. A Japanese athlete has been also dropped off the back. So there's some action going on now.
Yeah, I mean they're at 210 pace, and there's a lot of people who
it's not a walk. It's not a walk.
Yeah, are in this race that, given the heat, just can't handle 210 pace, just straight up, right? And then there's also another group of people who are having a tough time or a couple of miles out there, and then they're getting dropped. But there's still enough people in this front pack to let you know that the serious running is still to come.
Left to come.
Someone asked in the chat, what place is Rupp? Rupp is in the lead pack, and there's about 30 people there. So they'll be all
I mean, he looked like I don't think it's him falling back, but he is back a little bit from, he was like top 5 at certain points, and now he was in 12th at halfway, but it's kind of insignificant at this juncture, just simply because there's so many bodies.
Can we pull up the 20K split again? How far back was Riley? Is he closing on that group? Because I am intrigued by how he's going to, if he is able to.
Well,
so he's 40
at halfway.
At halfway,
he was, I believe he was 43 seconds back at halfway. So I'm unable to, or at least at this moment, unless I can't figure it, unless I'm just being dumb. I don't know how to go back on the results. Maybe if I. Okay, I do
look
know.
At what
Sorry.
Travis is putting up. Travis has got it. Travis has got it. Just look at that screen that he's putting up.
He was 40 seconds back at 20K, and now he's 43. He was 43 seconds back at halfway. So he's hanging pretty much steady.
I think what's going to happen is there's going to be people that completely fall off this group, and he's going to catch a bunch of them. But the top half of this group or so is going to accelerate off of this pace, or at the very least stay steady, and it's going to be tough catching them. I think that's what's going to happen. Back in a diamond the thing is, though, formation here again.
Yeah, I think Kipchoge probably requested it, right? Jake Riley, he's like a 2:10 marathoner, right? So, they're running 2:10 pace. This is his.
Yeah.
Not to say he could have gotten better in the last 18 months since we saw him in Atlanta, but this is being up front would be theoretically as good as he could run, and it's tough conditions. So. He's probably just running within himself.
Well, 210 in Atlanta, that was a tough course. Now, the conditions weren't like this, but that was not a great day for fast running.
That's true. That's true. Fair enough.
I think his strategy is very clear. And credit him, he picked a strategy, and he's sticking with it. It wasn't as if he's going to go out slow and then completely fall apart. He's making moves, and I think this group is going to break up and he'll have a chance to pass people on the back end. But there's still so many people in that group as they run past the Eiffel Tower here, which is this an homage to Paris 2024? Did they build that just because the next Olympics are in Paris? Has it always been there? I'm very
That's a good
Olympic centric
question.
right now, and I think everything revolves around the Olympics when it's probably not the case. Could be something else.
They always do the closing ceremony, like the passing of the torch to the next city. I'm sure Tokyo is laughing as
Just
they do that today and saying,
"Go, take it."
Best of luck with the Olympics, because oh boy, it's been a tough one for us. I don't know that.
I feel bad.
I'm watching commercials, so I'm just making up jokes.
Okay, I'm not watching commercials. I'll keep talking, but we're going back to the backpack because they just want to show the people who have dropped off at this point, which is frustrating. They just passed 23 kilometers. Rupp is there. Looks like, we have another Ethiopian drop out there, and that's Lemma, I believe. So now we're down to one from Ethiopia. Yeah, Sisse Lemma's done at 23K. So we saw Shura Katada exit before. Now Lemma, who's stretching his right leg. Not sure if he's going to try to get back in or not, but he appears to be done for the day. So you have Rupp at the front right now. DeCisa's still in there. The three Kenyans are there. And now I'm looking at an aerial shot over some farmland. Can we just stick with the front of the race for can we just stay there for 5 minutes maybe? Just like 5 minutes. Now we're seeing more Lemma. He's walking around. I don't know, come on. All right, he dropped out. Let's move on. This is an important part of the race. We got Rupp to the front here.
Yeah, Rupp to the front.
We got
Rupp to the front.
Here we go.
New hat, probably.
Mike Smith.
Oh, it was Mike Smith.
Sighting here. We got the post from Rachel Sando's Instagram with the beauty. So he was handing off there. So there was another person, though, who was handing off somewhere else. I don't think Mike Smith's doing all the handoffs because it's a lot of work. What do you think Coach Smith said to him in your best Mike Smith voice?
I'm being put on the spot. Hey, Galen. See, I've been away from Mike Smith. I don't have it down. It's not imprinted in my mind. Hey, Galen. Yeah. As Yoda says, you've got to channel the Force. Well, I'm just butchering this. I don't know. Hey,
he
told
Galen, something about ice.
You've been here before. Hey, Galen, but I gotta leave. They're having a black hat sale over at the shop, and you know how I like black hats. So I'll be back. Good luck.
He has a big hat. He's a big hat guy. So it would make sense. He's a big
huge black hat guy. I've never not seen him with a black hat on.
Yeah. So he's at the last. Yeah, he's at the last water station. But we got multiple ones. Oh, there he is. There he is. We're putting it up now.
Yeah.
Now, is that just a follow through on handing off the water, or is he pointing the direction to go? I'm guessing that's the follow through, right?
Yeah. Every good coach has pointed down the road or down the down the track. Say, keep going that way. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know if Mike Smith would be here. I mean, it makes sense that he's in Tokyo, right? His fiance, I believe, competed, and he's coaching some athletes, probably coaching Luis G and coaching Galen. Yeah. So it makes sense for him to be here, but I just didn't know. I don't, if with him also having to coach NAU, if maybe they're back in practice. But there he is doing some coaching duty.
Mm-hmm. Be cooler than the ice that you put on your head. Maybe that.
See, that's pretty good. Okay, there's Coach Mike Smith. Yeah, be cooler than the ice. Do you know what stressed backwards is? It's desserts.
Desserts. Ice.
Do you know what ice backwards is? It's icky.
All right.
Enough.
All right. Serious time.
Yeah.
We got 24K. They're showing the back of the pack here, but with Rupp at the front, no one's going to let him go at this point. Kipchoge is going to cover every move that Rupp makes because he knows how good Rupp is. So this race is about to get serious.
He's about to get going.
Well, Rupp's now. See, this is what happens. You cut away for a long time. Now Rupp is no longer leading. So it's Nascimento, it's Kipchoge, Suarez, who's been leading a lot, and then it's Rupp and the two other Kenyans, Chirono and Kipruchu. Chirono, as you mentioned before, really good in championship style marathons.
Right.
You know, he's been good in Boston. So keep an eye on him.
We haven't spoken a lot about him, right? Because of Kipchoge and Rupp being there and all the shenanigans that are going on, but just been quietly hanging out. You want a guy who's just not being seen or just hanging out. He is just right on the periphery there of shadowing Kipchoge just as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to tell. We've only seen Kipchoge run poorly once in his entire marathon career. And in that race, It was slower. It was slower because the weather was bad. Remember, it was a loop course. And then he was doing great until about the last section. And then he went from first and he got dropped to about eighth. And that was it. So it's hard to figure out markers with Kipchoge of, if he gets to this point, he's fine. Or if he looks like this, he's fine. Because he never really shows stress. And you look at his face there, he just looks as cool as can be, as relaxed as possible.
He's pretty locked in. No.
But then if you want to say, well, he looked that good in London in that 2020 race, okay, I could see that. But the other 13 times he's run well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other 13 times he ran well since he began in the marathon, you could pretty much count on him to be a safe bet. And you've seen him in a marathon this year. We haven't seen all these guys in marathons this year just because of the limited racing schedule. Kipchoge said, you know what? I'm going to do a marathon. They're like, how about at this airport? And he's like, all right, I'll do it. 25K. 25K.
All right. So we're going to get some splits.
We got some people in the chat tuning in. Let us know where you're watching from. I think we have some folks watching from Kenya, which would be great.
Incredible.
Let us know where you're watching from. Yeah. Specific cities, too. Don't just say Kenya or don't just say Ethiopia. Don't just say United States. Specific cities. Where are you watching from in the chat? 117.24 at 25K. Still a decent-sized group. I think 28th place is 4 seconds back. But 4 seconds at this stage is noticeable with how things are framed.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll
need to be.
And I don't want to judge it yet until we're past this water station and to see who comes back and who's actually in that group. I think it's going to get under, to about 15 here pretty soon because we're at the later stages of this race.
Riley into the top 35 now, 33rd. Let's see where Abdi is.
All right, let me read out some
52nd. Abdi's in 52nd. I mean, Abdi, the guy's what, 45 now? I mean, he's doing pretty good. I don't think anyone was gonna mistake him for a medal contender, but the Americans, you got all three still in there. That's probably about as good as you could have hoped for.
Mm-hmm. So we got some Astoria, Oregon, Seattle, Kenya, Villanova. Just went with the college there.
Just the college.
Kenya, Cork, Ireland.
Boom.
Nairobi, Singapore, Saratoga Springs. Another one from Kenya, Meru, Kenya, Meru. Shout out to Meru. Tokyo, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Long Beach. Great city.
LBC.
Another one from Astoria. Two from Astoria. Marrakesh, Morocco.
Is that New York or Oregon?
Astoria, Oregon.
Anyway.
Come on, Lincoln.
Okay.
Come
There's
on.
an Astoria, New York.
Erie.
There's an Astoria, New York.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Come on. You know about the story. I don't know anything about the story, New York. I know about Astoria, Oregon. Okay, Cork, Nairobi, Hotlanta. That's the word that James used to describe the city, not me. Hotlanta, Portland, Spain, Kingston. Oh man, this is a lot. Dixon, California, Pakistan, New Zealand, Manchester, New Hampshire, Cupertino, Pittsburgh, Kenya, another Kenya, Las Vegas. Shout out to 89134, Dublin. Villanova is a town and a college, I'm learning. My apologies. All right.
Oh, it's also a town.
Got everybody.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kevin, I interrupt you reading off of some of the great global cities. Do Nascimento has fallen back. They cut back to him. I don't know if he had a cramp. He's running again, but Do Nascimento, the athlete from Brazil, fell to the pavement like he had picked up an injury, maybe a cramp, but now he's back running again, although he's lost contact with the top group. There we go. There was Do Nascimento. If we can pull that up. So one contender has fallen back.
Kipchoge at the front. I'm right at 26.0K, 0K, okay. There, okay, aerial shot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then a little bit of a break there. Yeah, Nascimento's walking now. Looks like his days are done at the front of this pack. Yeah, he's laying down now on the sidewalk. But this,
that's
with
never good.
Kipchoge there and Rupp shadowing looks to be the move. I'm looking at who else. So Makoka, as you mentioned before, Bashir Abdi, who spent some time training with Mo Farah and was with Mo Farah on that 1 hour record attempt on the road.
Who could forget? Year. You mean on the track? On the track.
On the track, excuse me. Yes. Broke the world record, as did Safan Hassan. Medical
Best
attention.
World record of the last year.
Oh,
just
some say
yeah,
it was the best world record.
Calling it.
What are you thinking here with this? How this is shaping up?
Other than the Ethiopians falling back, there's no surprises at this juncture. I would say somebody makes a move at 30K. I don't think I've ever watched a marathon unless it's a world record attempt where somebody doesn't make a move at 30K. I think you hit that number and you get excited. Whether that's Kipchoge or not, we will see. I tend to think even he will start to get anxious, and then the race becomes real.
Yeah.
But we're still in the, we haven't hit the climax of our matinee here just yet. This is still the warm up essentially before we get this rolling. This is what happens though in these championship marathons. You see these guys that were up there, kind of good stories like Do Nascimento, and then they start to peel off at this point, and then it feels like the contenders really start to make a move after 30K. So I'm excited. We're getting into it. It's I think everybody other than the two Ethiopians that I mentioned, everyone that you thought would be in it is still in it. And you've got the three Kenyans now running 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be, if you're rooting for Galen Rupp here, you were hoping, it'd be real nice if Kenya lost one of these guys. As far as dropping out, that just helps his chances. But those three being running strong is a good sign for Kenya with their chances to maybe go 1, 2, 3. And
Kenya's being led up there by Kipchoge. He's the one up front. He's doing the work. If you didn't know anything about the pecking order of those three, you'd think that they would have sent somebody who's not the greatest marathoner of all time out there to do the work.
Ooh, and DeCisa's fallen back, Kevin.
Yep. He's
out of it. Gone pretty much. I would assume he'll drop out at that. I mean, that's an assumption, right? But
yeah,
no sense for him finishing if he's going to try to run a marathon again soon.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 now, and then a little bit of a gap, and then 4 more that gets you to 13, and then 2 stragglers. So we have 15 there, if I'm counting that correctly, at 27K that are at least within that same shot. I don't think Ethiopia is going to get a medal unless something changes very drastically. I don't know if
shut out of the medals, the men's and women's.
Well, we might be looking at 2 DNFs here on the men's side, or 3 DNFs actually as well.
Yeah,
if they
2012
if he stops. Yep, 2012 all over again. But yeah, Kipchoge continues to drive this train there. We get a better look at some of the other people in there, but the desire to show people who have fallen off the back of the pack is just really the main concern of the world feed here. We got 15K left, and the greatest marathoner of all time is trying to repeat as marathon champion, and we're looking at people who are 2:12 marathoners who can't keep up. It's just inspiring here what we're seeing. I mean,
Yeah,
Kipchoge,
and I don't.
he's escalating this thing down. He's ratcheting it down. I mean, this next 5K is going to be tremendous, and it's going to be very,
It's
very key in determining the outcome of this race.
I'm just hoping to see more Elliot Kipchoge in these last 9 miles than I see of the Geico Gecko, because so far it's pretty equal. I've seen just about the same of the Geico Gecko as I've seen of Elliot Kipchoge. So I'm sure we'll miss some fun moments going to commercial over here on the USA Network. But right now I'm seeing the front. You know, Kevin, with all those camera shots, it's almost like they have to validate the expense of, you know, how many cameras they got ready for this marathon. It's like, well, we bought them, we got to use them. So cut back to Johnny Nobody back in 68th place. It's just you're right. It's frustrating.
Yeah, you don't really see their faces. So just see this Belgian athlete whose hat fell off of his head, and he gave an attempt to grab it, and it's gone now. It's off. It's away. Makoko's at the back end of that group. Oh, the slow-mo of him losing his hat. Just in case you didn't see it the first time, there's his hat.
What a bummer. He tried to catch it too.
Like Wilson in this volley, or like Tom Hanks in the volleyball. There, just can't get it. What was Tom Hanks' name in that movie? I don't remember. What was his character's name?
Oh yeah, I don't think that's really important.
Not,
but, yeah, I forget.
Not Captain Phelps. All right, here's Kipchoge moving to the side here. I don't know
because Rupp's
if he's just
you
trying
look back at Rupp. Oh no, he wants his teammates up there. He wants his Kenyans up there, or is he motioning to Rupp? I can't tell.
This is interesting. He's just like beckoning them, and because he's Kipchoge, the power of the hand signal is enough to draw them forward. I see Bashir Abdi still in that group. Is that Osaka's 27:07? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's him. He was in. Yeah, he's on the back end of that pack. You know, near Makoko. Yeah, we haven't really spoken about him too much, but yeah, he's right in the mix. Although this does appear to be a significant moment here as Kipchoge seems to be increasing the tempo.
Yeah, and this is obviously a good sign if you're pulling for Kipchoge, because he's still staying aggressive, even though there's 13K left. He's tightening the screws here a bit. Although I think you'd want teammates with him. You don't want him just to go on this solo mission out here by himself, especially given the conditions. But when Kipchoge moves, he moves with intent. He doesn't just do things just to do things in a marathon or because he's bored. He's doing it because there's some real reason. Yeah, you look at did you put that picture up? Can we put that picture up again? I'm just seeing it now. I was clicking over from the live stream.
Based on how Rupp reacted, I think Kipchoge was talking to Rupp, and Rupp kind of like brushed him off with his mouth. He kind of did a dismissive type thing, like whatever, man. Which is a bold way to talk to Elliot Kipchoge. I will say that's tough.
Do that at your peril. Hey, I'll take us back to remember 2012, 2016 trials in LA, right? And Meb was getting upset.
Meb was doing that. Yeah.
Right. And he was basically saying, hey, this is this great big road here. This isn't the track.
Yeah, the track.
Get off my heels. And
yeah.
And when people asked him about it in the press conference, he basically recited the entire interaction and said, hey, he was too close to me. He was brushing up on me. So that's a thing that can happen in races like this. People want to be too far up on your shoulder. So
yeah,
I don't
you
know
just
if
would
that
think
spurred that on.
I think Galen's run like
what?
7 marathons since then. He should have learned, right?
Yeah, or maybe Kipchoge just was telling him, hey, you're either going to lead or you need to back up. And
yeah.
Those were the two choices that were given. But an interesting escalation of pace. Yeah, that was the race. Meb went with the yellow and blue for UCLA colors, and Rupp got a pair of scissors and cut up his jersey. It was hot that day. I was out there. It was horrible conditions. Really still air, no wind at all. So Rupp now is back. We're in a single file again. Rupp's not out of this. No one in this group of 8. Is that 8? I'm seeing this shot from the back here. So either
it's tough to
go
tell.
up high
It
or
looks
go
like
from the
maybe
front.
a few. It looks like it's closer to 10 probably, but yeah, not 8 to 10.
Okay, someone in the chat saying 11. So I'll take their word for it.
Okay.
On the
8 to
knowledge.
11.
Sorry, Lincoln. Well, I just want to get a sense of.
11.
Okay, so Kipchoge at the front, right? Then we got Chirono and Kiprutu. Then we got Abdi in there as well. We need to see a bit wider shot to pull everybody. We're gonna get to 30K, and we'll be able to see who these other, like what position everybody else in. That's Abdi Nagy from the Netherlands in there with the blue shorts and a little bit of an orange stripe across his jersey. So it looks like there's, I mean, Rupp's at the back of that group now. Rupp is under serious pressure, and I think Kipchoge knows that this is his moment here, and he's going for it. And he's trying to make this one, instead of one big group of 11, it seems like it's almost fracturing into, a 7 and a 4 or 5 and a 6 here.
Yeah, I'm curious with Rupp if this is it's just like almost like a rest, or if this is I'm feeling this pace, because it is a quick escalation of it from Kipchoge, and we'll see. I don't imagine this is intentional by Galen, but it does, maybe preparing himself for when the big move happens. But that said, these guys, there's a lot of guys in here who have run faster than him, who are more accomplished than him. Sorry, I'm moving around to get some blood flow going in my legs. It's 2 straight.
This is exciting. This is exciting. This is a great race. So from France up there, Morhad Amadoui, but he's fallen off. Then you have 28.86 from Morocco, I believe. So 30K split should be coming up here. So here is the roll call. We have Kipchoge, Chirono, Kiprutu, Nagii, Ayad, Lamdassim of Spain, Bashir Abdi, and then Alphonse Felix Simbu, Rupp, Osaka, El Ghamri of Morocco, and then Amadouni of France. And then, so there's 11 in there.
So it is 11 strong. Yep.
15-second gap back to the chasers. And most of those chasers, obviously, are people who have fallen off the pack earlier. So, and we just see 28.84 and 28.93, 28.84 and 28.93, were those guys initially in that pack of 11? No, those are farther. Okay, so we're seeing guys who are 30 seconds back on my stream.
Important.
Which you'd think at 30K, we need to see the lead pack. It's enough messing around here. We need to see this.
You would hope, but I don't know, Kevin.
Well, I just want to see what I complained about this yesterday, or not complain about it, but it's just a reality of broadcasting road racing. It's tough to see the gap sometimes. So you want to get as many angles as you can. So Kipchoge grabs that bottle and moves to the complete other side of the road to get out of the way. It looks like is that Makoka that's dropped out now.
Yikes.
And is struggling there on the side. I believe that's him, 34-23.
Yeah,
but Rupp hasn't completely.
That's a tough one.
Rupp hasn't completely cratered.
No.
Other American athletes, Jake Riley up to 24th.
He is running a very good race, which is, running in his style. Up to 24th is so impressive, and he's down 90 seconds. So he's got, a ceiling for how close he can get, but top 15, not out of the question. He's got to make up a minute, but the other guys can go backwards for sure. It does look like, Kevin, Rupp may be falling back.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kipchoge has escalated the pace. Kipchoge has left everybody. He's making his bid for the win now. And when he was up front earlier, you could mistake that for him going for it and narrowing things down. But no, this is Kipchoge going for it. Yes. This is Kipchoge showing his goatness in front of the world here and trying to repeat as Olympic marathon champion. And he's doing that thing that Kipchoge always does in the marathon, where it looks like he's constantly, his legs look like he's in the last 400 of a race, and his face looks like he's in the first 400. Like he's turning it over so quick. just and running with such aggression, but his face and the rest of his body is so poised, but the speed at which he's going, it looks like the end is imminent, but it's not. I mean, he's still got
7
11K to
miles.
go, 10K to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's wild.
Rupp has been dropped off of that second group, which is fraying a bit. And then you have like stragglers like Osako behind there. So Rupp is sitting in about 10th, I would assume. But this is this is Kipchoge in full flight, right? This is why people have been so drawn to watching this guy in his marathon career is this right here. What he did to lead up to this and what we're about to see this final 10K. The race is by no means over, but
Wow.
their
It
aggression
might
with
be,
which
though.
he's running. You think so?
Very much
Is this
might
it?
be.
Was this the move?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could be wrong here, but you're not as good at the marathon as obviously he could fall apart still, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
is theoretically human, but you don't make this move when you're as experienced of Elliot Kipchoge unless you're intent to keep it all the way to the finish line. I don't think so, and I don't think these guys, the guys behind him, Chirono, Kipruto, the guys like that, don't cover this by a guy who's run 159 unless they can't cover it. So that's my estimation. It's early. I know I said at 30K, but I didn't think it would be Kipchoge. I also didn't expect Rupp to be falling off, but Rupp's been a good heat runner, but this may be a step too far for him. And it's not over for the medals. Certainly, some of these guys in this second, behind Kipchoge, this 6 or 7, they're going to fall off. But I think Rupp's seeing his medal chances slip out of his hands right now.
He's going to need a bunch of people to fall apart or have a big rally. The Kenyans are going to be buoyed by the potential of a sweep here, which I'm looking in men's Olympic marathon history, and to check to see, you'd have to go back to 1904 on the men's side. 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, Missouri. The U.S. swept the podium for the women.
Johnny Boy Goodsense.
No, actually, it was Thomas Hicks, Albert Corey, and Arthur Newton. And on the women's side, they've only had the event since 1984, never been a sweep. But
wow,
this is just fun to watch Kipchoge in his element, and we may not get to see it that many more times. So this is.
I have to ask, as a fan yourself, of course, of Kipchoge, as most everyone is. I mean, was there any doubt that this would be kind of what happened in this race? Are you surprised at all that, I'm probably not surprised, but I guess my question is based back to London when he did finally lose. Did you have any doubt about this race for Kipchoge winning it?
London, maybe, but then once the airport race happened and he basically jogged a 2:04, you were thinking that the other race was an aberration. But when someone loses, when you've never seen them lose before, you're going to pick them every single time. And then when they lose, then you start to think, hey, should I pick this person again? So I picked him. I said he was the favorite. If you're looking at odds, I think he was minus 300 or minus 250 or something, which I told Gordon. I said, hey, pick that. He's the greatest marathoner of all time. You should probably pick him, just like you should pick Ryan Krauser based on what he's doing. So, but listen, you're obviously going to have doubts when you don't just get beat in London like he did get beat, but he got beat by several people. It's natural. But I think the Enschede marathon that he ran, I know it was just a time trial, but if you can just go out there on your own and cruise a 2:04, then to me it shows, all right, you're in shape. You combine that with the experience, and this is the result. I mean, this is a master class right now, Lincoln. This is spectacular.
Oh yeah, and he was just smiling right about to hit 20 miles, and he was had a patented smile on his face, which I think we're trying to capture here. I mean, it's just he's pulling out all the stops. It's a greatest hit album from Elliot Kipchoge's. I think I get a view of Rupp now. Rupp appears to be struggling.
Yeah, I think top 5 is slipping away too, because that chase group, you got Chirono and Kipruto with Bashir Abdi, Nagy, and then 1799 there from Morocco is, someone will let me know on the, that's not, who is 1799? Do we have those results up? Sorry. We don't have the results.
1799.
There it is. Oh, sorry, not Morocco. My
That's
apologies.
Spain.
Ayad
That's Spain.
Lamdason. Yeah. The Moroccan athlete dropped back a bit. So,
Did he?
yeah, El Gormi is who I was thinking of. Yeah, these are outdated splits, but El Gormi is back, but 1799 was in that group with Abdi. Now, those other two Kenyans look to be in trouble here. So we could go from a potential sweep to only Kipchoge here
Just
pretty quickly. Yeah, because Abdi's
Yeah,
running really well.
yeah, I'm on commercial right now. I'm watching a Chipotle ad, but yeah, this always happens though, where there's medalists that you've never heard of. I mean, who had heard of Ayed Lamdassam of Spain, formerly of Morocco? I had never heard of him before this race, but you just get these kind of random dudes up there. But we'll see. Yeah, what are you seeing specifically that makes you think the other two Kenyans are struggling? Are they just not looking good? Are they falling back, or what's the situation?
Well, Bashir Abdi's he's broken away from that other group, and then Nagy and Lamdason are right there. Lamdason has he's 39 years old. He's run 206, and he did the 206.35 in that fast Valencia marathon in 2020. No results from 2021 at the marathon distance. Ran a road race, ran a cross country race. He has some European silver medals in cross country, but this would be the biggest result of his career if he's able to.
Well, he hasn't even finished yet. It's already been the biggest result of his career. I mean, it's being up there at this, at this juncture of the race. So, good on him. So, and he could be in position to get a medal.
Kiprutu looks like he's fading. So it's Chirono is well, I say that, but he's still in the mix, and we don't know what's going to happen. But right now, there's that 4, right? So there's Kipchoge, who's running off into the distance. Then there's the 4 that I mentioned before, and there's one Kenyan in that group. And then there's a gap, and then you get to Kiprutu. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for the sweep to happen. Long odds on that, but I think they'd be happy with the gold, I think, at this point from their hero.
Right.
I just want – I'd like to see – okay, so Abdi's been caught now on the chase pack. I'd like to see the gap from Kipchoge back to that chase group, and then that chase group back to the next group of stragglers. So hopefully we'll get that at 35K, which is coming up here.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious about 35K, right? Because just to see how far, I know we've kind of probably lost the chances of Rupp getting a medal, but just to see how far back he is of everybody else. Because he's not, with how harshly he was falling back, I thought, oh, he might drop out, but you could still see him on the screen with where Kipchoge is. It's a ways back, but you could still see him. It is really tough. You forget in a marathon, it's just really tough for whatever reason for the TV coverage to convey, where everyone is in relation to each other. Just because you're doing that long view and it's deceiving, but hopefully in these splits we get a better chance. I can report that Elliot Kipchoge is throwing down the hammer. So that hasn't.
So
changed.
it might be time for funny hats. Are we gonna have funny hat the last 5K potentially?
Funny hats 5K. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, Kipchoge could probably put on 2 or 3 hats and be just fine. As he's got. So we got Elliot Kipchoge honorary doctorate up on our screen.
He could wear that hat, University of Exeter graduate hat. That's a good one. He did that GQ shoot. There's a lot of funny hats, not funny hats, but a lot of hats that would be cool to see in that one.
He could wear
22-second gap.
Yeah, okay. That's the gap now.
Someone's speculating on the chat if Riley will catch Rupp. We'll have to see at 35K what the.
I mean, it depends on how much Rupp. He'd have to crater, which not impossible in these conditions, but Did you get a 35K split? Because I haven't seen that yet.
He's not there yet. He's at 34.3.
They're not there
right
yet.
now.
Right. Well, I was just wondering
Yeah.
how you got the 22 second.
It randomly shows different splits on the bottom, but it's inconsistent, so I never
Okay.
know when to look for it.
Yeah.
So that chase group, Nagy dropped off. So it's Chirono in there with Lambdison and Bashir Abdi. And then you have Nagy, then you have 35.84, and then you have Kiprutu. So Kiprutu, I think, is going to be out of the medals, and Kiprutu looks like he's going to be the 2, 3, 4, 5 range unless something dramatic happens, which it could, because remember yesterday when Salpeter was just like, I'm out, and she went from potential silver medal to DNF real quick. So there's still a lot of time left. Kipchoge's making this look real easy, but there's just a lot of time left for things to go wrong.
This is I could absolutely look this up, but I'm assuming you maybe know this on the top of your head. Has anyone ever repeated as the Olympic marathon champion? The men's side?
Yeah, so Abebe Bikila 60 and 64, and then Sierpinski.
Oh, that's right.
In 76 and 80. 80 was obviously the boycotted Olympics.
Right.
So yes, he would be the third person. But listen, he doesn't need to worry about streaks like that. He's the greatest of all time. It's been settled for so long.
No, I know, but you just add.
Yeah. You just add more to it.
You just add to
you
it.
Got
and Kevin.
Yeah.
It's only 3 years till Paris. I mean, I think this is confirmation that London was a fluke and not the first sign of cracking of his career. This is with Paris only being 3 years away and Kipchoge not actually aging, three-peat. It's not off the table.
Let's let him finish first here. Let's actually let him finish the race. I think we're gonna get another split.
I guess.
Here.
Do we have to? You don't think they're gonna mercy rule it? Is there a mercy rule in the marathon? Just call it.
Stop the fight. Okay, 27 seconds back. So Kipchoge 1:46.59 at 35K, then 27 seconds back. So just in that little time frame, he gained another 5 seconds. Chirono, Landesam, and Abdi. Then 30 seconds back, Nagy, and then Simbu of Tanzania, and then Kiprutu is 44 seconds back of Kipchoge. So they're about a little less than 20 seconds. Then Osaka is 51 seconds back of Kipchoge. And then we go.
Kevin, Riley might catch Rupp.
Do you have all the? Talk me through it.
Yeah, he's only. Riley is only 22 seconds. Riley is having a great race. He's currently in 23rd, and he is only 22 seconds behind Galen Rupp right now. So to the viewer who asked that, yeah, I think it's certainly a possibility. And then, I don't know, Kevin. I think they should probably mercy rule this. This is getting ugly. And let's be honest, give Kipchoge all three medals. He can just take them all. When you get this type of a beating in a marathon, I think it's just he gets gold, silver, and bronze.
I want to see how much this thing grows. Can someone do some math? I want to figure out that 30 to 35K split. Can someone do that? I'm not able to do that while talking and trying to watch.
Yeah.
Can we? Is it possible to do that?
I should be able to do. I should be able to do that. Hold on. So 132.31 to 14. Kevin, that was a 14:28 split from Elliot Kipchoge. That's pretty. As when you consider that, that's pretty dirty.
Wow. Okay, I want to see 35 to 40. At this point.
So let's see. I want to see what to compare what Chirono's. I guess Chirono's you would just say was 27 seconds slower. So that's an easy because he's 27 seconds down. So that's pretty easy one to do. But the old 14:28 from 30 to 35K really did everybody else in. I think
when it's a million degrees out there and there's
it's
the humidity. They had a shot just a second ago. It was Kipchoge in the front, and then you could just see way in the distance the chase back. That's the shot of Kipchoge's career right there. I know there's a lot
It's
of iconic
over.
shots throughout his career, but
Yeah.
just him by himself and then a whole group of people desperately trying to hang on. That's the story of
That's his
Kipchoge's
Facebook
career.
banner photo these days. He's got to update his banner photo.
I mean, it might be. So they're saying Riley is still 2 minutes down on Rupp.
Okay, well then why are we sure? Why did I? Okay, they upped. Oh, see, they updated it. Here, they're counting on me, Kevin, to give them good information. They upped, so the times were still updated. He has moved up 3 places though. He's now in the top 20. I mean, this is a spectacular race for Jake Riley. My mistake for any of you watching this and watching the race who are getting excited about Jake Riley maybe getting top American honors. That may not happen. I apologize. I know people are keeping track of my apologies. This one I feel I definitely need to say sorry for. I was confused. I'm just a guy who lives in Taylor, Texas, not unlike, well, formerly Fred Curley. So,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Listen, and we're not watching the live feed, so people get the stats and everything a lot quicker than we do. So we're doing it as best we can.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, this silver and bronze battle is where the focus is going to be. But then at the front, you have Kipchoge putting together another brilliant race. So they're going to try to thread the needle here between those two. So in that group of 4, it's hard to tell who looks the best. Abdi's been at the front and then back with everybody else. Nagy was back and then has joined them. So it's tough to tell. It's very hard to sort out, just especially because we're bouncing around so much. Who's going to win this thing? Oh, it says Kipchoge is out according to
for silver medal. So. Yeah, for the silver medal. Not who's going to win the race. That's pretty settled.
Oh no, yeah, I needed to hear was that split. That's what told me. But yeah, Kipchoge is a DNF here.
Yeah. Oh man, that's tough. Rupp's still hanging in there. Rupp, yeah, there's Kipchoge. He's that's no good. So the sweep's off the table.
Yeah, it was not going to happen there because he was off of a group of 5 guys together. But Chirono is still looking good in that group of 4, and I think those 4 are pretty clear of the next runner, especially when people are dropping out. Although we had
Sacco
from
biggest race of his life on home soil, trying to make an effort. He is probably sweating more than anyone I've seen, though. Could just be his hair.
Yeah, I think
just be his hair. Kevin, I was going to say if Chirono, sorry, go ahead.
Please proceed. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it's a joke, so don't get too excited. I was going to say if Chirono gets silver, Kipchoge could sing to him. Da 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 da. My Chirono. All right, that's it. That was my.
Yeah. Okay. Can we cut Lincoln's
that was
mic
my joke
at this point? It was okay with the funny hats here, but so let's look. They have another split update here. Looks like it's 50 seconds the lead now from Kipchoge to the chase pack.
God.
And then the next guy after the chase is Osako, and it looks like he's a minute 9 from Kipchoge, so that means he's about 19 seconds from the chase. Okay. So, unless Osako makes a big move, silver and bronze are going to come from those 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Not much drama at the front, but it is fun to just watch.
This is why we need the Kipchoge cam. This is why we need.
Yeah, you definitely. That's a good point.
Cameras. Also, I've been alerted that there's been 25 DNFs so far. We're going to scroll through that list here. So I think all three did Lemma, Kitata, and Desisa all end up DNFs. Yep. Yeah. So all 3 Ethiopians and then one of the Kenyans DNF'd. You're going to call them the Big 6. 4 of the Big 6 didn't even finish. And there's also a lot of other big names in there, guys with really good PBs. And then you have Elliot Kipchoge. just rising above the rest here.
I mean, that's just his ability, right? Is like there's guys who have, you look at the fact that I know he's not here, but Bekele's run 2 seconds with him in within 2 seconds of him in a regulation race, obviously in a different race. But Kipchoge is just different, and obviously this is not news to anyone, but that he's just so consistently rocks. I mean, you could have. I would have told you there was a 99% chance Kipchoge finishes this race, and you almost can't say that for anyone else.
Yeah.
He never bombs. Like if you consider London a bomb, I guess, but the guy never just. He just seems impervious to all the things that happen to everyone else in the marathon, which is just another token of his greatness. It's incredible. I mean, it's just like.
Mm-hmm.
You always expected this. It's almost like he's kind of answering some people who maybe doubted him afterwards, after the London performance. It's like, no, I'm going to thump everyone, because this is a beatdown that even Rio wasn't.
Mm-hmm. He's smiling again. The smile's coming out. He's got under 4K to go. Well, for the reasons you mentioned, and I've talked about this before, but then he lost the race in London, so maybe it didn't gain as much traction as it should have. But the conversation about him being the most overused word in sports discussion now, which is GOAT, long ended. But I think you could make an argument that he belongs in the greatest of all time of any athlete discussion with the run.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
I think you try to put him next to Bolt. Is he better than Bolt? Which is impossible to do. But you're right. No, I think he belongs up there. Certainly with, if you're going to put in the Michael Jordan and in the Tiger Woods and the Michael Phelps discussion, and you can't really compare them, but I would hear the argument that he's the greatest athlete of all time. Just with the event he's elected. It's you really can't compare the difficulty. And obviously you're comparing team sport athletes with an individual athlete, but
yeah.
I could, if someone said Elliot Kipchoge is a better athlete than Michael Jordan, I'd be like, tough comparison, but I can listen to this argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously impossible, which is why the argument is
absurd.
So
yeah, it's
even
absurd.
even within a sport itself. How do you compare, a quarterback to a defensive end, or how do you compare a sprinter to a distance runner? But you just look at the fact that he's dominated this event that has been puzzling to so many great runners. He, as you mentioned, DNFs just don't really happen with him ever. And we're going on since 2013, where he's only lost one marathon, right? He's rewritten the record books. All the times that have been set before him, he's smashed. He basically ran out of competition in his era, so he had to set up time trials with barriers. He smashed through those. He can run a tactical race. He can run a championship race. He can run when it's hot. He can run when his insoles are flying out of his shoes.
True.
And if you want to take it back even further, this is the same guy who in 2003, 18 years ago, won a gold medal in the 5,000. So longevity, dominance, degree of difficulty of the event. You're right. We should have the argument. Now, his name should be listed among those, even though it is an impossible discussion to have and it's impossible to settle on a right answer. Look at what he's done and how he's dominated this event and tell me he doesn't at least belong to be in the conversation.
Well, I think as far as, the difficulty of being a great on the track and being a great in the marathon, we look at Farah. Now, I know Farah had success in the track later in his career, but, Farah has, compared to Kipchoge, has not had a successful transition from the track to the marathon. And it's just, you don't see a lot of guys seemingly go from the track to the marathon and then be better than they were on the track. I mean, he's spectacular.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you were going to compare him to some other athletes, you would say, oh, he's taken some losses early in his career, but it's like he was a kid back in 2003 and 2004. And, he was winning those medals. So imagine him now as, he was kind of like a Thing Mo back in 2003 when he was 19 and he won gold. Now let's imagine a Thing Mo 18 years from now in a different event, went dominating like no one has ever dominated. I mean, that's kind of what that's the athlete we're talking about here. It's obviously a little bit different because, Mo probably won't get to extend up to the marathon, whereas he had that ability being a distance runner. But still, yeah. It's unfathomable when you think about he's had the career of about 4 athletes.
Yeah, and someone mentioned in the chat he's got 2 marathon losses. Right. He lost the first one and then went on this amazing win streak. So after the 2013 season, so from 2014 on, the only loss was in London. And then he also threw in those 2 time trials, which made us rethink what's possible in the marathon, once in Monza and then once in Vienna. And he did it at a time, Lincoln, when the marathon just got more competitive. The times were dropping and dropping and dropping. And he spanned so many guys' best shot. How many guys' marathon career has come and gone in the time that Elliot Kipchoge has just been clicking along, smashing course records, running historic performances, and virtually winning every single race? It just doesn't happen in this event.
Yeah, it doesn't. And they had a cut of Kipchoge and he was smiling just a minute ago, just in case you were worried if he was, falling apart. How far do you think Kipchoge could go at this pace? Do you think he could make it up to 30 miles at the current? I mean, it feels like he should just do like just a couple extra at least, to just.
So did we get the 30? Did we get the 35 to 40K split?
Yeah, so 201.55 is the so no world record today, unfortunately, Kevin. That's a joke. So 201.55 is the time. So he went from, now keep in mind he didn't have to run faster. So he went, let's see. So would that have been 1450, about 1456, I think? Yeah, 1456 from 35 to 40. He didn't really have to do as, I mean, that's still obviously impressive, but the deciding factor will be that 1428, right? But
yeah, that's a bit of a deciding
still
factor.
Clicking along.
You could say that's a deciding factor.
Yeah.
206.32 is the Olympic record. That was in the heat of Beijing.
He's up a minute 17. He's up a minute 17 with less than 2K to go.
Yeah.
So,
and we've seen in these championships how hard it is to come in as the favorite, how hard it is to defend your title. And none of it applied to Elliot Kipchoge. None of this stuff applies.
Not when you're like when you're also a legitimate philosopher on the level of like Socrates or Plato. It's not too hard to like come in as the favorite. That seems to be the arena that Kipchoge also occupies. So,
he was also interviewed by Gordon Mack this year, which is something he had to overcome. We should mention that.
Yeah, hey, Elliot Kipchoge, who would you put on your all-time Kenyan mixed 4x4 squad? I mean, like that's the type of like questions he had to get, So I
last 2K.
I applaud him for that. Osako just desperately trying to make it back. I mean, he is giving it everything he can to try to get back into medal contention. It's really. He's running a good race. This is just, I just don't know if there's enough room unless somebody falls back. Because he is currently, unless multiple people fall back, I said, because he's 18 seconds down on the top 3. Rupp currently 2 minutes and he's in 8th, 2 minutes and 32 seconds behind Kipchoge. And he will have to, a miracle would have to happen for him to get a medal. It's not going to happen today, though.
So Kipchoge's got about 4 minutes of running, maybe a bit less to go, and the race for silver and bronze is going to be interesting because those four guys have been locked in together for a while now. Chirono, Nagy, Abdi, and Lambdison there. So you got Netherlands, Spain, Kenya, and Belgium with under 2 kilometers to go. Looks like Osako's grabbing his side now. Got a side stitch. Nobody's catching Kipchoge today. And I mean, I want to see Kipchoge roll in and see his last K, but I also want to see this battle too, Link.
100%. You could almost say split screen, but I don't know if we have those capabilities. Yeah, I mean, we'll get Kipchoge, and they're doing better than they were earlier in the race. At least we're not seeing 98th place right now. But yeah, you do want to see him finish. Luckily, they're far enough back where we'll get to see him finish, and then we'll get I think the crux of the battle for silver and bronze. Although there are some moves being made, it looks like Chirono may be fracturing that group with. Let's see who's being dropped off. Would that be Abdi falling off a little bit?
He's in 4th in that group, and Lam Dessen's dropping back a bit too. So these could be the metal men here.
The metal men. He's a good old-fashioned metal man.
So Chirono is solid, and like I mentioned, he's tactically sound, and he's won some majors. So I think he kept his poise when Kipchoge left him, and they all had the benefit of running behind Kipchoge for a while. It's not as if any of these guys set off on the mission himself, because like any good leader, Kipchoge doesn't ask you to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And now we have 1 kilometer to go for silver and bronze.
Kipchoge's got he's trying to challenge Jessica Hull for the most frequent smiling during the race. Obviously, we get more of it with Kipchoge because he runs 26.2 miles. But my goodness, the smile is really out today. He just has not shown a single sign of this race even affecting him. I would be curious to know, like, how, like, tomorrow, like, are his legs tired? Like, is he, like, what is it like to be Elliot Kipchoge? I mean, that's it must be good, I feel like. But this is a stroll in the park. This is why, though, I'm so glad the Olympics happened, right? I mean, there's plenty of other good stuff that happens on the track, but getting to see this, just getting to live at the same time as Elliot Kipchoge is kind of a reward.
300 meters to go. Greatest marathoner in history.
Last Olympics, do you think? You think he runs in Paris? Do you think we'll see him double defend?
No one's done the three-peat. It's only three years away. Does he look like he's slowing down? Does he look like he's slowing down to you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. This does not look like somebody who's on their last. This does not look like somebody who's on their last marathon or on their last legs. If he does step away, it's because he wants to pursue other ventures
things
in his life. It's not because
I'm bored with dominance. This is boring.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up another sport or something. Chase Pack, Chirono leading that group. Kipchoge 200 to go.
That's
Lincoln.
My Chirono.
Man, what a performance here.
Yeah, sorry about that ill-timed joke. Yeah, absolutely. This is another dominant run for Elliot Kipchoge, and we would be talking about this, and we will, as one of the greatest Olympic performances of all time, if not for the fact that this is routine for Elliot Kipchoge. I mean, this performance is up there with, it may not go as a Wanjiru type dominance, given the heat was a little stronger there and he ran the Olympic record, but that's the level this performance will be remembered on as far as Olympic marathon history. So the GOAT is the GOAT for a reason. 2:08:38. What a run from him. Is he going to do a dance? What is he doing? I thought he was going to like break dance for a second. He like stopped and just like was staring at the cameras. I don't know. That was awesome. Okay. So we will get the action for the other medals. Here we go.
Yeah. Kipchoge did us a solid there. He said, I'm going to I'm going to make that race fun. You're going to get to talk about me, but I'm going to finish far enough ahead so that way you guys can scan back and get the run up here. Lam Dessen's out of it. It's between Chirono, Naji, and Bashir Abdi for silver and bronze. It looks like Osako is going to finish 6th. And Nagy keeps waving his arm. Who is he motioning towards? You're in the last 200. I have no idea what's going on here. It's like he's motioning Abdi to go past. I don't think he wants that.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that, I promise.
What is he doing? Is he trying to like lead him out or something?
Oh, he's trying
Maybe
to
some
urge
team
him on because
tactics there.
they're both Europeans. They're both the Nether. Oh, Chirono's going to lose a medal. It
Yeah.
looks like. Oh, he's urging him on because he's Netherlands and
Training
Belgium,
partners,
right?
maybe training
Oh,
partners.
could
Yeah.
be.
So Toronto's going to
Wow, and
drop.
Chirono gets fourth.
Yeah. Are those
Dang,
guys? Are
I
those?
did not see
Are they
that
both?
coming, Kevin.
Are they both? Oh, Abdi. So Nagy trains at the Kipchoge camp. Yeah, Nagy
Oh,
does.
okay.
But Abdi was training with Farah for a while there, so I'm not. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Hey, he was confident. He was confident in his kick because he was motioning people across. So Lambdison gets fifth, and
Osako 6.
six is Osaka's going to be six. So yeah, Toronto misses a medal by 2 seconds. Nagy in
Good Lord.
silver. Abdi stops his watch when he's laying on the ground, so he's going to have to at least take off 45,
Yeah, you're going to have to
50
cut some
seconds
time
there.
there. Here's Rupp. So Rupp, what's going to get 8th?
Yeah, it should be 8th for Rupp. Osaka was 2 minutes back, so he was 2:10:41. And yeah, Rupp will be slotted in there in 8th. He'll run.
That's been a
about
grueling
2:11.
last 5 miles for him. Yeah,
Yeah.
grueling.
Yeah, we looked at Kipchoge splits. It'd be interesting to see Rupp from 30 to 35 and then 35.
I mean,
to 40.
he hung in there. I kind of thought he might be done after a while, and not done. Obviously, he was off the medals, but I kind of thought he might be like dropping out. He just looked really like he fell back. But that's a pretty good day for Galen Rupp. I know, obviously, it's medals or bust, and this very well could be his last Olympics, although I don't imagine it will be. But
Simbu of Tanzania 7th, and then Rupp 8th.
I mean,
and we're gonna get the rest of the top 10 here. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, Kevin, a pretty good day for the Americans, all things considered. Jake Riley looks like he's going to finish in the top 25, and Abdi,
I don't know.
fighting for top 40.
I mean, you're coming off. I know that it varies based on the personnel, obviously, but you're coming off the last Olympics where Rupp got 3rd and Jared Ward got 6th. So
yeah, I know.
I don't think it's.
It's a good.
It's
a good point. Okay.
I don't think they're going to hang their hat. Like the expectation is much higher for the Americans right now, and even in 2012, you had Meb getting 4th there.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Fair
the
enough.
last 2 Olympics. You want me to keep going? I'll do more examples here. Let's see. Well, wow. Even in
why was this race so deep?
2008, 9 and 10.
But there were so many guys like up there pretty close late. It just doesn't seem. I mean, when are we used to seeing guys from the Netherlands, Belgium, and Spain and Tanzania up there? You know what I mean? Like 2 guys from Belgium finished in the top 10. When have we ever seen that? Like what?
This is Olympic
it just seems like there's
marathons.
almost more bodies.
This is
It just
what
I don't know.
happens.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
It just seemed like a more competitive race.
I mean, Simbu from Tanzania was 5th last time in 2016. So he's a guy who shows up for big races. I mean, yeah, this is Nagy was 11th. I mean, this is what happens in Olympic marathons. You only get 3 per country. The conditions aren't very good, and there's an unpredictable result.
Fair enough.
So, man, I wanted to ask you one more thing before we go.
Yep.
Well, first, what are your final thoughts on Kipchoge?
Almost tough to put into words. I mean, at this point we've used every adjective 12 times with Elliot Kipchoge. He's still I think it's just exciting that he's still the best. It's fun. It's one of those things, sometimes in other events, I feel like when Farah was retiring, it was like, okay, it's cool. We're going to see somebody else come out on top with Kipchoge, and it's time for a change, with Kipchoge, I don't feel like that. I feel like, it's going to be, it's going to be a significant, absence whenever he's finally done or over the hill. So it's refreshing that he is still, it feels like there's still some things right with the world when he's still the best. So I don't think anyone was saying coming into the race, oh, he's not the best, But obviously London, I know that was close to a year ago now, but that puts some doubt. And today removed any doubt, and it felt like that was a statement. Insofar as a guy who's run 159 can make a statement, he's still the best. And like I said, I don't think this is the last Olympics, even for a guy who's run in what would be, he's going to end up being like a 6-time Olympian probably when all is said and done, and might win 3 golds in a row. Obviously we don't look too far down the road, but with the next Olympics only being 3 years away, if you're making bets right now for Paris, I would put Elliot Kipchoge as the favorite.
Yeah, he resets what's possible in the
Yeah.
marathon. He didn't need to win this way. He didn't need to run it in that manner. He could have waited till the last 5K and broken away. But it's just the ultimate sign of confidence. It's the ultimate sign of trust in your training and knowledge of your abilities, that you go out there on a day when there's a lot of variables in a race where the variables are baked in. It's part of the equation in the marathon that there is going to be things that you can't plan for. And somehow he manages to get through all of it, and save for 2 times in his entire marathon career, which goes back to 2013, he figures it out. He figures it out, and he figures it out in a way that either posts a historic time or a dominant victory. You could pretty much swap this thing with 2016, Lincoln, the level of dominance that he showed in this race. And this is a guy who we think is in the back
even more so.
Better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point
better.
being, this is a guy who's supposed to be on the tail end of his career, and he looks just as good as he did in 2016. Again, I think we need to start having that conversation about where he fits on the greatest athletes of all time, even though it's an impossible question to answer. But let's throw a marathoner into that debate. You got a bunch of other sports represented. Let's put Elliot Kipchoge into the conversation. Let's put his resume up with other athletes to see how he measures up in terms of the greatest athlete of all time. And guess what? It's not over yet either. Not over yet. He's had, I don't know if he's what he plans on doing the rest of 2022, but every year he's got 2 opportunities minimum to showcase his abilities, and he's been almost perfect over this span of 8 years, unlike any athlete in this event that we've ever seen, and he's done it at an era that it's just shown impossible depth in the marathon. And so to be able to master the distance and to be able to stay that much far in front of your competitors in an event that makes both of those tasks so difficult is the ultimate sign of just how truly great Kipchoge is.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. I think, the tough conditions, he has to have been smiling and coming into this says 208 in 90-degree weather. Yeah, I can do that any day. I do that probably in training in Kenya all the time. So like was said, a masterclass. And he how do you rate him? It's tough to compare, even like you said previously, in the same sport. But I mean, who was the athlete of track and field? I know it's not track, but who was the athlete of the meet as far as do you think the Olympics track and field action between Warholm, Safana San, who am I?
Sydney
Thompson Hurrah and Sydney. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare, but
yeah.
These are the performance. Kipchoge managed to make a 208 when a guy's run 159. He managed to make that, put his stamp of Kipchoge on these games, despite the fact running a time that we would say, well, whatever, he ran 208. That's nothing for him. But, he was so dominant that he made it memorable, which is a credit to him because, he, like you said, he could have waited till the last 2 miles and it was like, well, Kipchoge won. He's still the greatest. Obviously, there was never going to be a debate, but he really, he made it a special performance, which credit to him because he didn't even have to do that.
I like this MVP discussion. But before we do that, what are your thoughts again on Galen Rupp and the rest of the American team? So if you go through the results we mentioned, Rupp was 8th, obviously. Jake Riley was farther back, started off farther back, more conservative approach, and then moved up his way throughout the race. He ended up finishing 29th in 2:16.26. Abdi Abdirahman of the United States was their third man across the line. He finished 41st in 2:18.27. So Rupp being the first guy across the line, did his performance surprise you a bit? And what do you think it says about the Americans' outlook moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should say I was a little rosy on it to begin with. I mean, there's no situation where Rupp is going to be happy, one, missing the medals, but the fact that he couldn't hang with guys like, Abdi Nagy and Bashir Abdi, not to mention, Chirono, but the guys like that up front, they may have faster PBs, but in a championship race, Galen Rupp had to expect he was going to be fighting for the medals. So for him to be out of that, that's disappointing. If you told me the U.S. between the men and the women are going to get one medal in the marathon, you would take that and you would have said, "Oh, it's going to be Galen Rupp." It just so happens it was not. It was Molly Seidel. So you're always going to have some surprises, but that one was significantly so. I mean, it's in the team competition. I know Gordon Mack likes to keep track of team points when there aren't any being calculated, but. Team USA got all three finishers across the line in this men's race. Can't say the same for Kenya and Ethiopia. So the team competition goes the way of the U.S., at least between Kenya and Ethiopia. So there's a bonus. Although I think Morocco, they may have taken it to that. I'm mostly joking. I mean, for Riley, you would have hoped he could have creeped into the top 20. He kind of looks like things maybe fell apart a little bit in the last couple miles, but that's kind of what to expect for him. And then Abdi, I mean, the guy again is like 45 years old. So for him to get 41st, I don't think is a completely horrible performance. I mean, it's not something he's going to be happy with, certainly, but it's not a abysmal race by any means for him.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's tough.
I'd give the day overall a B- for the U.S. men's team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's tough with Rupp because, as you mentioned before, it's just so deep, the marathon right now. So, and you have to make that choice at a certain point. Am I running for gold? Am I running for medals? Or am I running just to be in the mix here? Because I think it matters when you talk about covering moves and which pack you position yourself in. And he ran this race. He put his nose in there to try to make this thing work. And obviously it didn't. But I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back in the fall. We know that all the major marathons are going to be in the fall, and they're going to be split 10 different directions. So he'll have a chance to run well this fall, because if he chooses to run a marathon, because all those fall majors are going to split apart the field. You brought up MVPs before. I think it's a very interesting debate here, and you almost need to just have a list of finalists at this point, because you obviously have to put the three world record holders on there. I guess you got to go Rojas, Warholm, and Sydney, although Warholm and Sydney I'd put above them just by the sheer amount they broke the record by. Then you have Elaine Thompson-Herah, who pulls off the double and goes number 2 all time in the 1 and the 2. And then you have Sifan Hassan doing the Hassanathon and gets gold at the 5 and the 10, and then bronze in the 15. I guess if you're looking at another person with a singular amazing performance, it would be Elliot Kipchoge, because of the dominance that he displayed. But how do you sort out that group? And is there anybody else that I'm missing there between Sydney and Elaine Thompson, Sifan Hassan, Carson Warholm, Thompson-Herah? I mean,
the only other person
it's a tough thing to sort out.
Yeah, for sure.
Krauser.
The only other person
Krauser
I would
too.
Put in there, Krauser. Yeah, I was gonna say Krauser. I mean, I know he didn't break his world record, but the guy is freaking throwing 23:30 again. That was pretty good. The pecking order for me is actually pretty clear. I really do think Warholm had the performance of the entire Olympics. 45:94. I mean, it's not a time that I don't think anyone could comprehend. It seemed like even he couldn't. Coming into that, you could see, Sydney McLaughlin getting down to 51:46. That's almost like a believable time. 45:94. I could see that performance standing for decades, and I just think it's so unbelievable that I would put it at overall. I know he only ran one event, but I'd put it as the performance of the games. And then behind that, I'd go Thompson-Herah as the next best, and then Sifan Hassan. I think it's pretty clear, to be honest. There was a lot of great performances. I think Sydney may be a little bit of a victim of her own success, unfortunately. Just the fact that she had run 51.90. I know going down 0.44 still incredible, but the triple action medals of Thompson Hurrah and Sifan Hassan. I know one was a relay for Thompson Hurrah, but triple gold is spectacular any way you shake it. And then with Hassan running like 24,000 meters and getting 3 medals, 2 of them gold, that's pretty spectacular. So that's how I do it. 1, 2, 3, Warholm, Thompson Hurrah, and then Hassan.
Thompson Hurrah has the times, and I think if she won those races, but the times were slower, we'd say, okay, 100, 200 double's been done. But I still, I think, got to give the edge to Sifan Hassan to just go for that triple was amazing.
It's ambitious.
And the 15 was sandwiched in between. In the 15, she basically lost to the greatest women's miler of all time. In the 10,000, she had to beat the world record holder at the moment. In the 5,000, she ran against Obiri, who has a ton of hardware, and Gudov's a guy who's the indoor world record holder in the 1,500 and has run low 14. Like, the competition was ready for her, and she came out of it with 2 golds and a bronze. It's impossible to sort out, because you're right, because Sydney was amazing, and she smashed her world record just like Warholm smashed his world record, but the margin wasn't as big, so we dissect that. I think there's just that first tier where you can't really go wrong with who you pick. Like, I would hear an argument for several people here. Your order is interesting. I just think the historical nature of Sifan Hassan and we'll see other people break world records in one event at the Olympics. That's a guarantee.
Yeah,
it may not be as much. But a 15-5-10 double. You called her the queen of range a couple of years ago. But we never thought this would actually happen. This is something we would joke about.
No.
Oh, yeah, let's see her do 3 events. I mean, people don't triple in dual meets in distance races in high school.
Yeah.
And she did this at the Olympics and came out with 2 golds and a bronze.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's just there were so many good times on the tracks, and the sprinting and then the hurdles is easy to get lost and everything. And then it also was the Olympic Games, and so there was just tons of performances to choose from. Kevin, it's I'm being beckoned right now to shut down this whole thing. So my family's been gracious giving me the time to do this, but what a great Olympic Games. It was, there was questions if it was actually going to happen, but I was thankful to be part of it here on these FloTrack on YouTube events on the marathon. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. One more thing before you go. Don't sign off yet, because people are asking, what was Gordon's final total? Did he lose money from Galen Rupp? And he did. He lost $277.42 total. So after 40 bets,
not bad.
He lost $277.
Not bad. Not bad at all. He'll make it.
No.
He's not financially ruined.
Doesn't have kids yet. Does not have kids, so he does not need to worry about that. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Lincoln, for co-hosting. Thanks to Colt and Travis for producing. Thanks to everybody who tuned in over the last week to the FloTrack podcast. You can subscribe to the FloTrack podcast YouTube channel. We'll be back on Monday. Not sure what we'll talk about, but we'll see you then.